You have a landline?
Shut up.
Live from the BoD studios, it is 8:59, and it is Playin and Slayin, episode 69. Nice. In this episode, we're going to recap Adepticon 2023, the pants incident. We are going to give a brief update on the charity army. And, we're probably going to meander our way through some what we've been playing, hobbying, purchasing, listening to, reading, and all that jazz. So it should be a fun time here on the cusp of 70 as we do episode 69.
Nice.
And, without further ado, when you're playing and Slayin, it is important to stay hydrated. So hopefully you guys are joining me in some enjoyment of adult beverages. Bryce, I'm a little worried that you might be limited to, hotel water cups, but I'll kick you away first. Yep. All right.
I did have a pregame Modelo in honor of the show tonight.
Perfect.
Tall as well. But now I'm drinking an empty cup of coffee, sadly, that got drank before the show started. So I have nothing in this hotel room. So.
Oh, no. Somebody send Bryce, DoorDash him some beer. I wonder if you can do alcohol delivery in Texas.
Some states. I don't know. Here, it's Texas, so I think everything is legal here.
Yeah.
I hope so, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can own, exotic animals like lions and tigers, you can get alcohol delivered to you. So,
yeah, I think so. Is there still open? You used to be able to have open intoxicants in your car if you were not driving. I don't know if that law is still there or not. I don't know. Might have to ask Ben.
We'll have to ask. Important field research for future locations for BoDCon. All right, Troy, what did you grab out of the BoD fridge?
You might have the story. This is something I think you gave me. This Marzan from Beer Brewery.
I don't believe I gave that to you. I think maybe Coop did.
Maybe Coop did. I don't know. I think one of you guys brought it over.
Maybe I did. And I just don't remember.
So it's in Indiana beer, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. That Mike gave us those.
Okay. See?
Holy Wars. And I brought
See?
some back, and then I brought them over.
There we go. Yeah.
I
knew I got it from a gift. Nice. So we got to thank, Indianapolis Mike, right?
Yep. I'm glad I remembered that. My brain is operating on, it feels like 15%. It feels like I need to defrag my hard drive or upgrade my system RAM. Maybe it's just because I'm old now.
Yeah. Coop,
what's in the cup?
Liquid death.
You're killing me. I'm so mad.
Why are you mad?
That's 3 or 4 episodes in a row where you've had a canned water.
If it's any consolation, I'm actually drinking my water bottle, but
somehow we made it worse. Ty, you made it worse.
Can.
All right, so Josh, your night got ruined by us making fun of your landline. My night just got ruined by you drinking water. Let's see if we can ruin Troy's night and Bryce's night too while we're at it.
I'll be back. I'll send a beer over to Josh's. It's not that far away.
All right.
I'll mid-show something. I'll knock on it.
Yeah, I'll just vamp for 30 minutes.
Yeah, if you hear the knock on the door.
No, just call us landline when we get to his
house.
Well,
worst.
I'm drinking a pistachio cream ale from Indeed Brewing Company. I don't think I can have more than one of these in this sitting just because it's a really sweet cream ale. I think it's the pistachio that gives it a very sweet kind of malty flavor.
Sure.
And it's good. but it's just like hard to have more than one. And I had one with dinner, so I'm on 2, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to drink it. But they're good. I just don't they're not like, when I think cream ale, usually I could have several. This is just a little too sweet.
Sure. Oh, who was that by again?
Indeed.
Okay.
Trying to see if I know where they're from, but I don't want to spill my can, and I can't find it. I didn't do my proper research. I just bought the beer and drank the beer.
No worries.
Notes of
Minneapolis,
pistachio, bready, and crisp. Minneapolis, okay. Good. Everything good is from Minnesota. No, just kidding.
For more shows like this, check out the Goonhammer Media Network. More info at media.goonhammer.com.
All right, let's talk about what we're playing. Let's get into the banter. Here we go. Josh, I'm going to start with you because I bet there are some great recommendations for families out there or parents with young children. And we in the BoD recently have a new parent. Big Stu and his wife down in Nashville welcome their baby girl to the Playin and Slayin Basement of Death family at a couple days old. Baby welcomed Isla, baby Isla. So congrats, Stu.
I'm very glad that you put the proper way to say it, because when I say Island, I say Island, so then I would have called her Isla for all time. Josh saved me with that.
But with the theme of family and new additions and young children, I'm going to let Josh start because usually his games are up that avenue.
Yeah, the kiddos have been really into Sushi Go. I think I might have talked about this last time, but Sushi Go is getting played a lot in our house. And also Guess Who, a classic. My youngest, really likes to play Guess Who. So that's been fun. And a little bit of Spot It here and there, which is,
all right.
I think we've talked about that one before, but yeah, that one is getting a little bit of play too. So,
is Guess Who a Hasbro property?
That sounds right. Maybe.
Why haven't they started to do like Guess Who Magic the Gathering, like Planeswalkers, or Guess Who like D&D characters, or Guess Who G.I. Joes, or other
it'd be an easy like slip in for all the little I mean, that would be,
if Guess Who is a Hasbro property. I feel like we have to
Winning Movie Games is the company that makes Guess Who.
Hasbro should go buy them and then use all that IP.
Yeah, we just gave them a bunch of ideas of reasons why they would go buy it. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, don't kill my virtual tabletops. Just go and kill Guess Who.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut. I'll talk about that more later in the banter. Troy, what have you been playing?
I'm going to hit the 2 games that bookended our Adepticon. I know later we'll talk about Adepticon, but these were kind of on both ends. On the day we got there, Ben and John and I threw down Downforce, which is the Restoration Games. Sorry, I get my R game companies right. Restoration Games, racing betting game. If you ever played that, we've talked about that in the past. That was fun. We just had some downtime there. And then Sunday, while you guys were triumphantly trying to finish your team AOS tournament, we had a couple hours there, and we grabbed Seven Wonders Architects, which was funny. I brought it, but we just checked it out of the board game library. Because we had packed on Sunday afternoon, we had already everything packed up. But we played. We played like 3 rounds of Seven Wonders Architects, which again we had played before. So that's the whatever. It has some feelings of Seven Wonders if you play that drafting whatever. But it's the one where you have common decks. 2 common decks between you, and you get 2 choices out of that, and it scales up from 2 to 7 players on that, and fun. You have the little pieces and like that. So that was a way to just kind of kill some time. We had some free time on kind of both ends, and kind of two of our, and again, not games we already had played, so it was not high brain power near it. Just some fun times and get to hang out with the brothers. So
excellent. Yeah, I haven't been playing a ton of board games. Adepticon, obviously, played a lot of Age of Sigmar. We'll talk about that. But this last weekend, Landon and I, Nicole wasn't feeling well, so Landon and I went over to Tom and his girlfriend Jenna's place, had dinner, and then brought some board games. And we played Zombicide, Undead or Alive with Tom and Jenna, and then Tom's buddy Charlie came over. So we had five of us playing. Right? Math says 3, 4, 5. And we did the train scenario. Almost made it, lost it again. When myself as Father Thomas got a double runner activation out in the street, and you know what happens when double runner activation happens.
You get eaten.
You die. Yeah. So that ended the scenario just as we were probably a turn or two away from getting on the train.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I've been doing a bit of RPGs. So had a bit of a hiatus for the D&D campaigns that I've been running, but this last week we're able to get both the Sunday night and the Tuesday night game going. Not full player counts, but close. And I'm running both of those in the same world, and I'm really enjoying both kind of stories that I'm sprinkling just enough out into the world, and you guys are picking up on some of it. And I wish you were aware of both campaigns like fully, because there's a lot of like I'm doing things in one that the other one has no clue exists, but if they did, it would drastically like shift the paradigm. And I'm having a lot of fun with that concept of two campaigns in the same world at the same time. But yeah, and then also this weekend had a game night with Paul and Jen and our friend Ben, my brother. And we're taking a break from Mage and from playtesting a game Paul's working on. And we're doing a Deadlands campaign that Ben's running. So we went to investigate a mine south of town where there were some man bats, or devil bats if you're into the lore, but we've been calling them man bats. And investigated the cave, found Confederate soldiers that were looking for like Cortez's sword that absconded with it. So now we're going to go across the Badlands and in search of Cortez's sword. And I'm playing an alchemist in that who is incredibly like weak and has a laudanum addiction and almost no like stamina, but highly intelligent and can make like alchemical fire and fun stuff. So it's interesting, and I think I am annoying everybody in the party because my character, I changed my backstory and I changed my accent. And I talk about random things like nonstop. I'm wondering if another player will kill me before any NPCs or monsters kill me. So that's really what I'm going for, though, is the low charisma, high obnoxious, weakling alchemist. Because like stats are all randomly generated by drawing cards, and my stats were atrocious, like terrible. So I also kind of hope that my character gets offed so I could re-roll a better character. But it's Deadlands classic, like old school, with the crazy complexity with like hit locations and wounds and win, but super fun just to play in a genre that you don't often get a chance to play in. So that's what I'm playing. Bryce, any gaming or just traveling and hobbying?
Just traveling. There's some gaming at Adepticon that we'll talk about later, but leading up to Adepticon, it was painting. Then after Adepticon, it's been travel. So no time for that just yet.
Soon. We got to schedule the June weekender.
Yeah, we also have to schedule our BoD MCP Grind Clash.
We do. And Kill Team Day and 10th Edition Combat Patrol Day. We got a lot of big things to figure out. All right. Well, let's talk about hobby. I am going to pick Troy to start us off talking about hobby. This is the joy of kind of being in the driver's seat for banter. I get to just throw like hand grenades at whoever I want. Let you guys pick up the pieces. So Troy, tell me about the hobby you've been doing.
Sure. So Sarah was excited to paint something, and I did not want to discourage her in any way. So she kind of, we've talked about My Little Scythe. I think if people are familiar with that, it's the kids version of Scythe that's like, was more of a fan version that got built, but it has really cool miniatures. I'm holding up my finger for video people that are about, I don't know, 2 inches, like really cool kind of not say cartoony, but really cool animal characters that are in that thing. And she just got it in her head one day. She got the game out, spread it all out. And like, let's paint. And we had painted a while ago, probably a year or so ago. And she said, oh, let's paint it. And yeah, so I grabbed one, and then she grabbed a couple on the other side of the paint desk, and I painted one. I just went to town with one that kind of contrast. And I, again, didn't want to like let her do whatever she wants. You want a silver cape? You can do a silver cape. You can I'm like, let her do what she wants to do. If she loves it, right. And do that. So we had some fun. It was a fun, this kind of couple hours. I got my one miniature painted, and I think she got some color on 2 or 3 of them, and they're still over here on the desk over here. So that was kind of fun. It was fun. Again, it's it's one of those where I don't want to push her in anything. So if she has kind of the initiative, I'm just going to roll with it. And it'll be fun to play when we do play that game, to have some painted people. So that was the only painting I've done. The other part I've done, again, I think we'll talk maybe a little bit, like we come back from Adepticon and we all have different like motivation about, oh, I'm so excited, and sometimes it fades and sometimes it doesn't. I think Bryce, today you had a good tweet that went out there about that. And for me, it's really been like Space Hulk, and I'm calling it 3.0 because we've been doing it there. So I've been playing with the 3D printers and some of the things like that, and just already starting to prototype some, like, hey, if we change things up there. And then John's been throwing me some scenario ideas, and 10th edition and the big Tyranid focus there has really got our juices flowing on some of that stuff. We'll see. It's real early, and we'll see what sticks. But we already have a lot of energy, and we're probably already behind. Like, if we really want to do it, we probably could. If we start now, we're still going to be rushed. So I'll call it Space Hulk 3.0 in that. And I haven't posted any pictures because I haven't done anything yet, but I've been printing a lot of some of the 3D pieces, and we'll see if they actually are going to be what we use for the new, we'll call the new board, because the goal will be to actually redo the whole board, which is a little bit ambitious, but we'll see.
I am interested because one thing that we did in that Adepticon terrain painting was like metal and grates and concrete. Like, there's some really cool stuff you can do with an airbrush for like a Space Hulk terrain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk a little bit. That was some of my purchases at Adepticon were in preparation for that. So
very cool. Speaking of 3D printing, Josh, what have you been doing?
I 3D printed a little bit, but more hobby specific. I finished up Magneto. I think I might have a few little details to do, but for the most part, he's all done.
Yeah, especially his abs.
Yeah, he's got real good abs.
Your shading on those abs was impeccable. You must have had excellent source material for reference.
I was looking down at my own abs, and I was like, "Yep, that's how you do it." And then his constructs. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was gonna make a joke about X-ray vision. That's all. Sorry.
So working on finished with the constructs, and then for whatever reason, the traffic lights have always been like, it's the yellow. Anything with yellow freaks me out to paint. I don't know why. And so I've been staring at the traffic lights like primed since I got the box. And finally just finished those up. So got over my fear.
Did this give you the courage to finally finish Ebony Maw? Or
I think I'll make that my next goal is to knock him out before I paint anything else.
You want 2 yellow hobby hacks?
Sure.
Prime brown.
Mm-hmm.
And second is if you do a Zenithal, use Imperial Fist contrast.
Ooh. Okay.
That is the yellow for like speed, like game changer.
Okay. Good to know.
You feel like you're cheating.
Yep. Imperial Fist.
Imperial Fist contrast. It is so pigment rich as opposed to a lot of the other contrast paints. And it is a very vibrant yellow.
Yeah, like the yellow that Troy and I used from Army Painter had like an orange if it clumped too much. And then it was like a little light if you didn't get enough. So it was
and if you really want to be cool, use the Pro Acryl yellows because Pro Acryl is amazing.
I did.
We should get Monument Hobbies to sponsor us.
I got the sticker back there.
I think I probably sent more people to their booth this year than they brought into their booth themselves.
Nice. Yeah, they were out when I went, and then I ordered online, and it was like Christmas.
Yep. So, well, cool. I'm just glad that you're keeping the hobby going. It motivates me when you guys are doing stuff because I have a tendency to do fits and starts and lose interest and spend 3 months not doing anything. So it's motivating when you guys are constantly putting stuff up in Discord, and Stu and Raph and Gabe and Danner, everybody seems to be riding a bit of a hobby momentum coming out of Adepticon, which is really cool to see. So Bryce, have you been able to do it? No, you've been traveling. So any hobby since?
No, but I think I can count what I've been doing as hobby because I've been doing a lot of project planning, we'll say. My little buddy over there with the red light behind him and I are working on a bit of a project with some cool things we picked up at Adepticon. So I've been drawing out what that's going to look like, and I've been doing some brainstorming on NashCon project that I'm going to try to get done. And then a lot of thinking about, keep referencing Adepticon, but really got some good inspiration there. And I think more motivation and courage by doing a fun day with Danner. And so I've been thinking a lot about some competition pieces and stuff I want to work on too, and really trying to figure out a plan for the limited hobby time I'll have over the next 5 or 6 months.
Very cool.
Why do you foresee reduction in hobby time, Bryce?
I'm getting married, and I just was trying to figure out an open weekend in the summer, and it turned out that there's, I think, 2 weekends open from like the end of May all the way to September.
Well, we better book one of those for a weekender.
Yeah. But I did get approval for NashCon, so that was one of the free weekends I got filled up, so that's good.
Excellent. So, hobby for me, mainly acquisition, but I have been assembling the 10 Chaos Chosen that come out of that Slaves of the Darkness box that I got, because I'd like to add them into my list for Meltdown, which evidently I believe is back on, according to what I heard during the Adepticon weekend. And then for NashCon as well, I'll probably play Slaves of Darkness for a couple tournaments, even though they are subpar, according to MetaWatch. But I never listen or watch or anything, so I'm going to go 2 and 3 no matter what.
I was going to say, are you watching MetaWatch these days?
No. Is that on Warhammer Plus? Or I don't even know. Troy? Is that?
I don't know. I saw it tweeted, and I wondered what it was.
Is it a paywall thing?
You know what? I don't watch any of those. Only thing I watch is some of the battle reports and some of the painting. But they do have, I don't know. I don't know if it is. But yeah, because I watch the painting, the whatever, and the lore. That's about.
You know what's really cool for a company to do that makes media and wants representation and inclusivity in their hobby?
Put it all behind a paywall.
Well, when they put it behind a paywall and then they take their presenters that might be women and or others and they remove them, and now it's just all hands on their painting shows. That's a really cool thing to do. I've been acquiring stuff too for hobby. I bought a cool squeeze bottle for airbrush, you know, with like the slanted, like the 90-degree spout, because that makes it easier to clean than the stupid ketchup bottle style one that I have. And then I bought a bunch of little plastic cups, like 25 milliliter cups, to mix paint and thinner, so I'm not mixing in my airbrush, so then I can just pour the thin in to make it easier to flush out and do like 4 or 5 colors before I need to clean it. That was a trick that I learned in my class. So some stuff there, and then I picked up a number of paints at Adepticon, and then some basing materials from. So Adventure Games has a really cool mail order, kick-ass mail order .com. Adventure Game is the store that we visit when we do our weekenders in Oshkosh, kind of Bryce's local. So kickassmailorder.com, and they have some really good selection for hobby supplies and a bunch of other stuff. But I found some temple basing bits, like columns and rocks that Vince used in his one of his hobby cheating videos for like jungle ruins. That was pretty cool. And then, of course, I was still shy one bit of the Pro Acryl range, so I bought the Ninjon signature paints as well with that basing materials order. So yeah, buying some hobby supplies that counts in my world. I bought Necrons, Troy.
Ooh.
Ordered the Necron Combat Patrol box from
why would you
Knight.
cancel it? I literally could give you 4 like sprue after sprue. I'm half serious. Like you like you guys should come shopping here for any 440, even before you buy any 40K stuff, come shopping here first.
My next purchases I will, but this was the buy a box to start 10th edition that Eric put up. So I was like, well, I'll buy a box. So I bought a Necron Combat Patrol.
Okay. If you need anything when you're adding to it, just come shopping here.
I will. I'm doing a full airbrush Necron army. I'm not going to do any brushwork on my Necrons. That's my goal. We're going to see if I can actually make it happen.
Cool. That's a strategy. I like. Yeah. Either because it's either just dry brush or airbrush. I like that. Yeah. Don't do any of the real brushing.
Yep. No detail. Dry brush and airbrush. All right. Hobby. Let's talk about our charity project, the Army. We've revealed Seraphon. We've talked about how we're going to kind of chunk it out. I think the key message coming out of Adepticon is the preview. We'll talk a little bit about, I'm sure some of you guys saw that. I did not attend, but saw the pictures and stuff. The new Seraphon range is absolutely incredible. Very excited by everything we've seen so far. So we collectively have made the decision to hold on initiating this project until we have the new models released. So when the new Army box comes out, which should be sometime here in the next month or two, and when we have that in hand and we go and get some of the other models, that's where we will truly launch the project. So we're going to do a little more planning, kind of work out some of the details and logistics. Talking to Raph Cordero at Adepticon, mentioned possibly some networking we can do with the other shows on the media network at Goonhammer. He's interested in contributing, maybe doing a model, seeing if we have some other folks that want to get engaged. So we're going to work really hard to kind of plan that. So when we hit the ground running with the new models, it'll be good to go. Anything I didn't hit there that you guys want to add on the Charity Army update?
No, I think, Ty, what's interesting is it's a predicament I think other people find themselves in, right? They want to plan something. They have a new book coming out. They know they want to go to an event, or in our case, like we want to do an Army. And maybe this is something, as we go through this, you can kind of share, like, what can we do? The one thing I think was interesting is we started to look at base schemes, right? That's one thing we can look at now before we have models out and things like that. And you talked about that. So I just think it's, again, that's part of this thing is us to kind of share the process, right? And for people that, again, a lot of people do this a lot and other people don't, but we can just kind of share our process and what we're doing. And it's interesting. One of these things is like, what do you do when there's a new book coming out and you're not quite sure what what the army is, what can you do, and how do you get ahead so you don't, rather than just wait, right, and then kind of back end things and rush, right? What can we get ahead of, and how can we hopefully use the time we have right now to get prepared?
Absolutely. And work around Bryce's wedding, so we're not.
Yeah,
Yep, it kind of works perfect.
Real life, real life.
Right on
time. Let's talk crowdfunding, Kickstarter, any fulfillment or new orders. I shot a not frantic message to you guys on Discord, but Josh and Troy. It was kind of a weak attempt at keeping me back from the ledge, but Troy, I think you jumped in. You want to share what you backed recently?
Might be the new Zombicide, White Death, which is the continuation of kind of Black Plague. I mean, Black Plague, they already did Green Horde, which was the one after that, but it had been quite a few years since they've kind of touched that. And that's, in mine, is my favorite kind of genre of it, is really the Black Plague kind of version of Zombicide. And so they're adding looks like they're adding some siege mechanics to it, some walls, just some ability to do some ranged melee, kind of have some like dump oil down the wall kind of weapon. So it looks like they're adding a little bit kind of interesting, because what they do kind of with each one of these things make it interesting. Also seems to have kind of a like an Eastern Oriental kind of theme to some of the miniatures, it seems like, so far too. So kind of really, again, all the miniatures are always pretty cool. But yeah, and then, like I told you, Ty, and then there's this Lacuna Coil set of survivors, and the heavy metal person in me was like, oh well, it doesn't matter, it could be the rest of it could be junk, I'm in for the Lacuna Coil miniatures. So little Christina Scabium,
so Ty,
out there with an axe.
Is it more motivating to you the fact that Troy has already purchased it to make you purchase it, or is it less motivating knowing that it's in the family?
Well, so both. It's less that I know, like, I'm not totally gonna miss out, so the FOMO isn't as bad. But then, like, Troy getting in and being hyped, like, gets me hyped, and then I started thinking about how I did this cool, like, Frank Miller Sin City, like, grayscale heroes for the original Black Plague, and I did like the full range, and then did all the weapons in red. And then I'm like, well, this is kind of like White Death. Maybe it'll be frost elements of like snow. I haven't looked too close, but I got that thought in my head of, well, what if I did all the zombies like ice, like, kind of whites and blues and like ice bases. And I'm like, that would be really cool. Like opposition is your heroes in the grayscale blacks with the red pops, and then the zombies with like that kind of white blue look. So then I'm like, well, maybe I just back it to airbrush a bunch of zombies.
Nice.
Haven't backed it yet, but
I feel like we could, in theory, just alternate buying the Zombicide games between the four of us. Then we could each have like a year off between Zombicide purchases, since it feels like one comes out every 3 months.
I'm literally, yeah. I'm also like, it would be fun if we then tag team the like painting, right? And the hobby, we just split up the box and like.
Yeah, we kind of did with yours, right?
Yeah. I think that would be good. I'm running out of storage. Like one of my entire cabinets is dedicated to like Zombicide at this point. Between second edition, Black Plague, Green Horde, Undead and Alive, like I have too many shelves of Zombicide. I don't play all of them. I couldn't tell you the last time I played Black Plague. But
see, Ty, we had, like you say that, like we almost have done that. Again, I think like we both kind of like Black Plague, but I skipped Old West. You got that. I skipped second edition. You got that one. Mm-hmm. I got Marvel. You didn't get Marvel, I don't think. Right. So we actually have done
Marvel,
a little bit.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah. Right. And Bryce isn't that. So we have done a little bit of that, but we're always probably going to have some overlap. And again, I think the Black Plague one, I think maybe because it's the fantasy version, whatever. I don't know. I feel like that one has the wide appeal. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and that just launched, so that'll be out there and open for a while, probably like a month or so.
So it means I get junk email updates. I shouldn't say junk.
Yeah.
They just keep. It's so crazy how much stuff they add to these, right? But it's literally like, oh, look,
$2.4 million. You unlocked a new hero.
It's like, yeah, I got 3 emails today about my Zombicide that I just hit delete. I just hit delete at some point. Like I just don't even like it. Like you got my money. Like what do I don't really care. Like what are you gonna do? Right.
Yeah. And speaking of zombies, so I think I talked about it last episode. Walking Dead RPG from Free League just closed, successfully funded. Tons of stuff. They are going to be sending out kind of the alpha like PDFs to backers for testing and early play and stuff. But pretty excited just to see that book, and they do a good job of kind of narrative focused rule sets. So should have that relatively soon, at least in like PDF format, and then probably before the end of the year have actual books in hand. Bryce, you recently went back to the well on Kickstarter. What did you find?
Well, I vowed to never come back, but sadly I've been conned back in by my, I'd say, favorite hobby tool producer. Redgrass came out with a painting light, and I've been looking for a painting light for a long time. I don't know that I needed to purchase a $212 painting light or something like that, but they put it up, and I put my credit card info on the second that it became available on Kickstarter. So I got a really nice light coming right around my birthday, they say. So that would be nice.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
Yeah. And when they did the wet palette, I got some cool extra supplies with it. So maybe they'll have some extra things with the light. Really like their paint handles, and their brushes are actually really nice too. So pick up a few extra things for that. And I had no problem. I think they make such great product that maybe backing this light gives them the ability to continue to make more cool products and get a decent light out of it.
Yeah, it does look like a really good kind of work light. I mean, you know, you've got your Amazon kind of purchases that work well, but theirs looks like it's really designed for kind of creating that wash, that dome of light, right? Like kind of spreading it out so you get a really good look at what you're working on. We'll look forward to a review later this year on the Kickstarted hobby light. And if it meets any delays, Bryce, I will bother you every so often about that, like when Josh was waiting for his board game table, where I continued to harass him about delayed fulfillment. All right. Before we get into the library, just a few other items. And I think these are both mine. So Saturday, pretty excited here in a few days. Nicole and I are going to see Old Gods of Appalachia. Their podcast is doing a show at the Barrymore Theater in Madison. So bought tickets for that. I probably mentioned this before, but now it's like closer and I'm even more excited. So I've been listening to I was behind a little bit on the show, so I'm catching up. But evidently they do their kind of show, the main host and one of the other actors. And it's a separate story than like their podcast story. So they'll do like a performance of one of their stories. I think there's music accompaniment, and the Barrymore is a really cool old kind of classic theater. I think it was in the early 1900s it was built, then it was kind of renovated, and now it's like a concert venue. And it's been like 20 years since I was at the Barrymore to see a show when I was in college in Madison. So I'm excited to go back to and just, experience the Barrymore again. And it's a national tour. So, if you're into cool kind of radio drama style podcasts, Old Gods of Appalachia is all stories about Cthulhu influenced Kentucky, West Virginia in the early 1900s. So it kind of takes that 1910 to 1920 era of like Cthulhu, what you usually think of like Boston and kind of the Northeast, and brings it down into Appalachia, and you have this, snake oil type preachers and just the poor coal miners and other things with these dark kind of stories of old gods. So really cool stuff. And then I got some pictures from the guy on Etsy that is making my board game tabletopper. Some of the construction, a little behind, but he was able to provide an update. Yeah.
Oh, it's delayed.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it won't be 12 months delayed though. It'll be like 2 months delayed. But he's got the kind of the wood framed out and just pictures of wood in a workshop. So nothing too exciting, but it was good to see it. I should have that probably in a few weeks.
Yeah, it looks really cool. The picture you shared, it looks sweet.
So I'm worried. I'm having like remorse that it's small, like it's not real big, but like it'll work fine for most board games. It just won't be like can play miniature games on it. But I'll like it. I'm just being me. You make a purchase and then you're like, I should have gone bigger.
I think you'll be happy though, because now you can one day get a bigger one and still have the small one for when it just needs to be small. You don't have to play on a massive table and have a small game. So now you will have the best of both worlds.
Forward thinking. I like that. Thank you, Bryce.
Yeah.
I can have board game tables in multiple rooms someday. If we get into a bigger house, I could have a huge board game table in the gaming room and then another board game table in like a dining room.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we're going to expect, Ty. Like every room, like the coffee table
as a gaming surface.
Open up, right? Yeah. The kitchen, or you pull out the drawer.
A cutting board, like board game drawer.
Yep, that's going to be expectation. That's what we have.
Yeah, so. I'm sure Nicole will love that.
Yeah, you just slide it back in. Can't even tell.
Landon and I come in, we open the door, and like the door rotates sideways, and like we have a gaming table like in the front entryway. Fantastic. All right, let's get into the library, right? Or other items of geekery. Any
the only thing? Well, I don't want to be negative, but
be negative. Do it. I'm usually negative. I want.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm piling on from your Ty. So I'm just gonna make sure we're never sponsored by Miniature Market. Like, and just I think we were having this thing where like, well, it's on the bottom. It's on the bottom of my list to order. The only reason I ordered is because they had the thing. It was the cheapest price, and then they happen to have some other things in stock. I'm like, all right, I can actually do an order. And I don't know, I'll get my expectation. This is an order I put in, and it's not even as bad as yours, right? But I put this order in like a week ago, and it hasn't even shipped, and everything's in stock or whatever. I don't know. Like, so I'm just like, I remembered why they're on the bottom of my list. So that's all. If I would have ordered from anyone else, I would have had it already. So it's like, all right.
I put in an order at like 1:30 a.m. to Noble Night. That had to be, maybe it was last night. Yeah, last night. And at 8:48 a.m. this morning, I had the thanks for your order, shipping address, packed notification. Like they were in and ready to go.
Stabbing myself now. That's what I'm doing. All right. I'm learning.
What did you order that you had to order?
You ordered far enough out from Gen Con, you don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything crucial, but I was just all of a sudden I'm like, wait, haven't I and then you go and check, like it's been long enough that you're like, when did I even order that? Right. And it's like,
you want a real trip? Contact their customer support email.
Yeah.
See how long it takes for them to respond.
You make it a $5 credit?
Yeah. You'll get 5 cents.
But it's only been it's only been 2 weeks. It's still within their SLA. But so I'll
know what you can buy for $5 on the Miniature Market website?
A sticker.
A sticker?
Like maybe a sticker, maybe a dice.
Troy, you can come over and call them on my landline.
What is the I don't even remember, what's that old code that you hide your caller ID on
landline?
Star 69
or whatever. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Episode
Sorry.
69.
69.
How
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, this
Good
is
call,
nice.
Matt. There we
Oh
go.
full
man,
circle.
Fade has a
Nice.
line. Let's stop recording. Let's call it a night. Oh man. All right. Library. Let's go. Bryce, what have you been listening to in your travels?
Oh, I've listened to so much because I missed last episode. So I'm just going to do a quick summary. I listened to 7 lit RPG books. I learned what they were, and then I was just enthralled by them. So in 3 weeks, I listened to 7 full lit RPGs that were like 26 hours a book. So that was good. I don't even remember the names of them at this point.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, I don't need to. It was just fun listening, and they each had voice actors doing multiple different people in them. So I really like when audiobooks have different people reading instead of just one person doing all the voices. Well, especially when they have a man and a woman doing it, because then you get all different sorts of voices. So there were 7 of those, and then I started. I'm going to need your help again, Ty. You guys convinced me a long time ago to listen to a book that I think all 3 of you love, and I just kind of crapped all over because I said it was boring. And I think it's called Name of the Wind, right?
Name of the Wind, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started the second book of that
Wise Man's Fear.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remembered all the things I said about the first book. But
It's
well,
a
keep
track.
going.
It's
Yeah.
a track.
yeah. I mean, I think it just goes to show it's not for all things aren't for all people
Yeah.
to like fully enjoy. I think we all have things we like more than others, like landline telephones. That's a Josh. That's a Josh thing.
It's my wife thing, to be fair.
How many times can I go back to that well in the next 45 minutes?
Probably a few more.
Yeah, hopefully. Josh, do we have a number that listeners can call you at to share
No.
feedback on that?
Not at all. We do not.
That's 555 Coop. All right. So Bryce, Wise Man's Fear, a bunch of lit RPGs. There was a time a few years back where I went on a lit RPG bender and just read a ton of them on like Kindle Unlimited where they were free. So yeah, I don't know why they hit in this way that like they're so quick to get through, and you see the progress and you know like what's happening, and yeah.
I don't know. I can't do it. See, it's like total opposite. I don't know, Bryce. I still love you, Bryce, but I'm the complete opposite. Wise Man's Fear. Patrick Rothfuss. I love, again, part of it is the prose and the writing. Like, I don't care what's happening, just the way he can craft a sentence and craft a word.
It's like a warm blanket.
Engages me, whatever. And you're like, oh, you know what? Nothing has actually happened for the last 10 pages, but I'm enjoying this, right? But I can totally understand how that's not for everybody, right? Like, totally understand. And then lit RPG, I remember when I don't know, I could not get into it. And maybe it's the opposite, because most of those are maybe written a little more, I don't know, what do you say? Harshly, roughly, right?
Well, yeah, less prose, less
prose,
like,
just kind of like, here's the plot. I'm gonna run you right through.
Yeah,
I'll run you through it, which is it has its own thing. So that's why we all have different tastes. It's good.
So Bryce, watching anything?
No, I haven't really had much TV time. But just to finish the lit RPG thing really quick, instead of searching for what they were, I started searching for the longest ones so that I could listen longer and have more of it and use my credits wisely. So that's how I search Audible now, is by length of book, so that when I'm listening, I can just go and I don't have to buy more credits all the time. So yeah, I had a 47-hour book that I just downloaded, some lit RPG. So yeah. But since Last of Us has ended, I have not watched anything on TV. It's almost NBA. Well, March Madness a little bit, and then NBA playoffs start soon, so that'll kind of take up all my time. But
all right, so we'll go from lit RPGs to Rothfuss. Troy,
Well, maybe we just
watching,
say
reading?
so. My two, maybe we'll just say them because I know they're on your list, and I think never. The only other thing I'm doing is I'm still working my way through The End and the Death, which is the Horus Heresy number 8. I've been, as I looked today, I'd started that at the end of February, and I'm still kind of working my way through it. I'm kind of savoring it because when I end it, I'm going to be waiting probably for a while. My guess is the last book won't come out until maybe hopefully later this year, but it could even be, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how Game Workshop, what they do to when they finally put the capstone on this whole heresy thing. So we'll see where that is. So I've been still working my way through that, and then the other two things I think we'll touch on in your list, so we can talk about them.
All right, Josh, how about we hit yours before we close that loop out?
Yeah, sounds good. I watched Peripheral. Kind of an interesting show. Thought it was pretty good. Wondering if they're gonna do another season or not, but I don't know. They left it kind of open ended where you could. But Shadow and Bone, season 2. I had kind of forgotten that it's just a tad cheesy. Like it's, there's just a little, I don't know. It's good. I thought it was fun. It's not like, it's not like Game of Thrones, right? It's not like that level, but it's.
Yeah, I mean the book series that Leah Bardugo wrote, I think, is like young adult YA, weird fiction. So the show, from what I recall, I've only watched the first 2 episodes of season 1. It gets some of that like MTV teen angst wrapped in.
A little bit, yeah. I had remembered really liking season 1, and then I'm watching season 2 going, was this? I guess it was like it was this cheesy, or whatever. I still watched it. It was good. It was what it was, right? I think I was in my head. I had overhyped it as like a Game of Thrones type, and it was more young adult, like magic, whatever. Anyway, Succession season 4 is out. I think, Ty, you have that on your list too. Watch the first 2 episodes of that. Big fan of that show. Definitely fun. I finished Red Rising, and I'm on to book 2, Golden Sun. I think I'm almost done with that. So for me, that's almost 2 books in a month. That's good for me. Like
I was just gonna point that out, Ty. Do you remember when our little Josh would only have TV shows on his list? Listeners could go back.
Well, yeah.
And now it's like 2 books in a month. Wow, he's really come along. I'm so proud of him.
Well, that was the joke, right? For like episode after episode after episode is, hey Josh, what are you reading? And Josh would sigh and roll his eyes and go, nothing. I don't read. I watch stuff. I don't read. Books are stupid.
I've never thought books are stupid. I used to read a lot, and then I kind of went through a dry spell, and then I read a lot.
I'm messing with you.
No. But yeah, I think when we started this podcast, I was in like that dry spell for years, like for 3-4 years. And then, you guys got me back into it. So I appreciate it because I'm kind of it's reigniting we should read more because it's fun. I like it.
You also had littler children, which might have been might be a correlation there.
Yeah, that too. So. Yeah, good point.
One quick question though for you, Josh. When we talk about watching stuff, have you been to the movie theater to see Scream 6 yet? I know you're a big fan of the Scream franchise because the call is coming from inside your own house. There's one more. I'm good for at least a couple more.
Over under 3 more.
All right, let's go. So I've been reading. My pace slowed down a little bit because I had a really long book on Audible, and The Bone Hunters, one of Erickson's Malazan books, the 6th book in the series. I think it was like 44 hours. So like between painting time and like driving time, it was tough to kind of like get through all of that. So like that was kind of what I listened to for like the month. And then I finished up a few books that I was reading. Ninth House by Leah Bardugo. I think I talked about it last time a little bit, how like it's kind of like this supernatural storyline at Yale University. Goodreads really needs a like a 10-point rating system or half stars, because books like this. So the first 200 pages of the book were like a 1.5 or a 2. The last 250 pages of the book were like a 4. So as I'm like kind of figure it really, the pacing hit. I started to enjoy the story. Things started coming together, but I'm like, this isn't a 4. It's not really a 3. And I'm like, I hate the rating system on Goodreads. And I use Goodreads to log all my reading, to like track all my progress. And it's just a hard 5 point. It makes so like things I feel skew, like almost everything ends up a 4. If I don't like a book, it's like a 3. And I tend not to finish 2s. And then a handful of books every year get a 5. So I don't know. That's my rant on the Goodreads 5-star rating scale.
Yeah, I feel like there's a ton of, I don't know, like if you go in there, like you read everybody's like their actual like comment, like they'll put a rating and then everybody will put a comment to be like, I really wanted to put 3.5 or I really wanted to put 4.25. I think a lot of people will then put in their comment, like, here's how I want to add more granularity to my review.
I see you have Succession on your list while you're Googling.
Yeah. Succession season 4.
You like
The
it
100.
so far?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The Roy family is some of the best, like worst people ever on television.
Yeah.
Like I describe the show often as a race to the bottom, because everyone's trying to be worse than the next person that you see, and that's kind of the enjoyment there. And you know what's going to happen too. Like I know Logan is going to screw over his kids. Something's going to fall apart. And I don't see this show going towards like a happy place. Like there's no way this show ends in like we work out our shit and we're happy. Like that's just not going to happen. So I'm like, how bad is the fallout going to be? Like, how fractured and like broken is everything going to end up here in this season 4? Because season 4 is the last season. Like they're done.
Yeah. I kind of want to call you and me, like when we're hanging out, I want to be the disgusting brothers, like Tom and Greg.
Fair.
Fair. Anyway.
Absolutely. So yeah, The Last of Us finale, the memories of that show, excited and wondering about season 2, like that show is haunting me. Like literally can't stop thinking about it, can't stop like replaying some of the episodes and scenes. Like I have rarely had a show that just grabs hold and like doesn't let go the way The Last of Us has left me. Like just I don't want to wait. I'm like every day I'm looking for like updates and news on like casting announcements or filming or like trying to find little tidbits. Like,
So here's a really sad thing. I watched the season finale, not knowing it was the season finale, thinking there was one more episode, and we got to the end, right? And it's clearly the end of the season, right? It's so clear, and I went. Wow, that would be really a great ending to the season. I don't know why they. And then I was like, this has got to be the end. And then I Googled it right after, and I was like, son of a bitch. So it made it even worse. It made it worse that it was.
You didn't know. Everybody else were like, we know exactly what we were going into.
Did you guys listen to the podcast?
Yeah,
the official podcast.
I've been enjoying the podcast almost like as much as the. And then, and so again, I don't want to. Can we spoil the podcast? Like, I was almost as emotional as they were to have Ashley Johnson on the last one. Yeah. Like, because and she was the one that brought me into the game, and in some ways, like it was her trail that got me to Critical Role. It was kind of her through that, and so having her on that, like, they were getting emotional in the podcast, and you're just like, and of course, I always do it like pretty much the day after I watch episode, then I have to jump in the podcast and do it. So
Succession, Last of Us. Went to the movie theater to see Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Troy, I think this is your other one.
Yep.
Landon and I made plans to go. He saw the trailer and he's like, "That looks really cool." I'm like, "Yes, it does." Nicole wanted to see it, but she was sick this last weekend, so like she didn't go. But I texted Tom the night before. I'm like, "Hey, Lando and I are going to go see the movie. Do you want to go?" He's like, "Yeah, I totally want to see it." So I bought tickets for the three of us. So then, Landon sat between Tom and I at the movie theater, and we're all just like having a blast. I won't spoil anything because I think everyone should go see this movie. And like, is it Oscar worthy, like amazing film? No, but is it super fun and gets like what is so great about playing D&D or playing any tabletop role-playing game for that matter and put it on the screen in a narrative way? Like, yes, it embodies that, and it has interesting monsters and funny moments. That it was just such a treat. It was like going, having a bucket of popcorn and spending 2 hours laughing, smiling, like just having a really good time that I haven't had in a movie in a while. So
what do you think the minimum or the minimum age that a kid should be?
I think Zach would be fine seeing it.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
There's no, in some way, I don't want to say there, I don't know for sure, but like there's no blood, like there's no gore, like there.
Yeah.
I mean, Sarah in her way, like Sarah's, like, I don't know if I told you, like Sarah's 2 thumbs up review is it's horrifying, but that's her in her best way, right? That's her and there is I mean, well, people have seen the trailer, right? There's the graveyard scene. That was the only thing where she was like, that was kind of weird. But she thought it was hilarious. Like, she'll quote every line from that scene too. So again, she's a little weird, and she's 10. So, but she was totally fine with it, and it was just a blast. And I think there's going to be like that. I can't wait for it to kind of come out because I think it's going to like multiple views. It's going to be one of those things you just put on and watch again. And there's like a million Easter eggs in there that I did not even catch, and I've been trying to like not. Like I just see like, there's all the YouTube videos that kind of walk through every single one that's in there. And I'm like, I don't really want to, I want to kind of experience that again when I can sit down and watch it and over and over on my TV.
I thought of all three of you though, when I was watching the movie for Revel's End, the prison up in the spine of the world, that you guys actively resisted ever going to and like pursuing any thread. And I'm like, they would have known. They would have seen this prison. They would have known that it's there. But when you guys see it, you'll be like, oh, cool. This is a cool prison up in the spine of the world. When we did Frostmaiden, why didn't Ty take us there? Well, I tried.
He tried.
I tried.
There's again, and that's so many. I think a lot of fun. Again, there's so many levels. Like I think somebody who does like who doesn't play D&D every day like it. It's a really fun movie. You don't need to know anything about it. For people that do, there's kind of that next level. Like, hey, you're in the Forgotten Realms. You're in Icewind Dale, and you're like picking up all this stuff that just adds another level of coolness. And then if you're really deep, there's a lot of other Easter eggs in there too that kind of
like
jump
the mechanics
out,
of a Speak with Dead spell. So watch that. Also, I don't know if I talked about last time, I went to see Everything Everywhere All at Once with Nicole a few weeks back. That was really enjoyable. It's been fun. I'm such a movie fan, and like COVID not being in the theater ever, and like starting to try to make a point of like, let's go do something, and that being one of them. Like it has been nice. And then I started book 7 of Malazan, Reaper's Gale on Audible. So after a 44-hour book, I went right to the next, which was 47 hours. I started that.
I might have to start this series.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. And I passed Danner. I'm officially ahead of Matt, and he's the one who originally told me about it. He had finished book 6. I don't think he started Reaper's Gale yet. So now I'm like,
how many books are there?
10, I believe.
In at least
I can pass you
10 in like the
series. Then there's
books
other
of
series.
The Fallen. Then there are other series around it that are adjacent.
Yeah, we can spend decades here, I think. So.
Yeah. Then this book. So I made a point this year of kind of making my list of like, here are books that are coming out, and as they release, I want to get them. This book is called Our Share of Night. I'm early in it. I'm about 50 pages in. The author is Mariana Enriquez. She is an Argentinian author. The book was written and released in Spanish, and then translated for American audiences by Megan McDowell, who I think does some writing of her own, a relatively well-known individual. But the book starts with a father and his 6-year-old son preparing for a trip. And they go on this trip. This packs the son's bags. The son wakes up crying. And there you learn that the mother has died, his wife, and Gaspar, his mother, the 6-year-old. And you don't really know what's going on. And they describe the book's written in this way of like, you're learning things as they travel and they stop. And then like there's all of a sudden there's kind of this magical element where the father's trying to summon the spirit of his dead wife. Like he cuts his hand and makes this pattern of ash on like a bathroom floor. So it goes into this like dark Gothic kind of supernatural. The premise of the book though, is they go to her ancestral home, find like members of her family that are like this kind of like demonic order that want the boy for their own purposes. So like it's super cool. The writing's really good, and it's this kind of Gothic like horror story with elements of magic set in this is all set in like relatively close to modern day Argentina. But then I've heard, and I haven't got it to the section yet, that there are many flashbacks to like London in the 60s. So the book goes back and forth between times and places, and it's just really well written. It released relatively not too long ago. And after like 10,000 reviews on Goodreads, it's holding at like a 4.5, which is crazy. Like that many reviews. Nice. Most books level out to like a 4 or a 4.1. So it's apparently I'm not the only person really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But Our Share of Night, and it goes to like, I'm also trying to include books from authors that are voices that are different than my own voice. We had that discussion with Raph, maybe 2 years ago. We did that episode during COVID, and like that's something now every year I try to include other voices, like having read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, like Gabrielle Zevin, and just I'm loving these books, and it's I think it's a testament to that idea, right? Like sometimes when you open yourself to things that are different and not in your kind of normal wheelhouse, you end up with these kind of delectable like moments where you're just like, holy crap, this is an awesome story that I've never heard anything like, told in a voice that I've never even imagined. So yeah.
Yep. And then I don't know, Ty, do you think now that after you read Babel, don't you think a lot harder about the translation and the work that they did, and how and how much they are bringing to that process? It's absolutely. So that was a long library segment, I think, from me. I apologize. They always are. I think that's where I use my platform to just like spit. Here's what I think about things in the world. That's right. No, you had some commonality. We all kind of met around Succession, Honor Among Thieves, and Last of Us.
Let's call the big show on Josh's home landline and talk about Adepticon. Let's take a brief moment here to gather our thoughts and talk about Adepticon 2023. We are fresh off the heels of it, about a week out from recovery. Still recovering, maybe. I don't know. That was a long 5 days. But what I think would be fun is to talk a little bit about kind of what we played or what we did. Kind of each day, like what was the highlight, what was the main thing you accomplished or did that day. any memorable meals, and then kind of go through any purchases. What'd you walk away from the vendor hall? We touched on a few of them, but we can elaborate there. And then anything really neat that you saw, games you demoed, things that you saw in the gaming halls and the exhibit halls, cosplayers, whatever it might be. So do we want to go around the horn day by day, or do we just want to go kind of like Ty story time, Josh story time, Troy story time, in that order?
Day by day feels good. It builds into
day by day around the horn. All right. So let's start with those of us that got there on Tuesday. Troy, that's you.
What I was saying? Wait, how many of us were there on Tuesday? 1, 2, 1, 1. All right. On Tuesday, I got there. John and I unloaded a truck or a Subaru Ascent load of Space Hulk stuff. Literally I could only get John in the car. That was it. Nothing else. And we unloaded, and then we got Ben from the airport, and then we ate and watched basketball. I think that's Tuesday.
That's a good Tuesday. Now let's turn the clock over to Wednesday, when Bryce and I arrived. I think, Bryce, I beat you there by just a couple hours, so I'll start and then go from there. So Wednesday, got in the town right around hotel check-in, like 3:30. Saw Haywo and Andrew Tolstead in the lobby, said hi to them. And the only highlight from my Wednesday check-in experience this year, I remembered that multiple trips to the car is a pain in the butt. So I brought my wagon that I usually bring for baseball games, with like the lawn chairs and the bucket of baseballs and coaching stuff. And I use that to carry stuff from the car to the hotel. So I went with my backpack and duffel bag to check in, and made one trip to the car and brought everything else with the wagon. So never leaving that behind again when I do like a gaming weekend or tournament or anything. And then Wednesday night, I found myself in a room with Geek Nation Tours and Troy Weiss, helping be an assistant intern to the BoD Overlord with some Space Hulk games. So that was enjoyable. I don't think I butchered too many rules, but
no, we did good. Yeah, I mean, Wednesday was I don't even remember what we did during the day. I think we stocked up because we knew we were not. That was the last time I left the hotel, was Wednesday at lunch. John and Ben and I did. And then I think, as I said, we played a game of Downforce. And then we started setting up for the Geek Nation Tours, the Space Hulk tables. The first thing we did is we went in, and they were still doing the VIG. They were getting the VIG bags together. It was fun to see a little bit behind the scenes between the Geek Nation Tours, that welcome dinner and what goes into what's part of that package. And again talking to Terrace, loved getting to hang out with Terrace a little bit more. So the first thing we had to do was, there was just these pallets of all the stuff that the VIGs, which was insane, literally insane. I'm sure everybody by now has seen everything that was in there, but as we were just unloading box after box of free stuff, and for each of I don't know, there was 30 some, I think, people in that tour this year, and then we had 3 6x4 tables that we had 3 different Space Hulk games on, and a lot of super thanks again, Ty, to you and Eric. Also came, and then Ben, John, and I, to run the basically 3 different games. We ran 17 people through the Space Hulk over about 2.5 hours after dinner, from about, I don't know what it was, about 7:30 to 9:30, something like that. And I don't know, feedback we got was people had fun and enjoyed it, and we got to hang out with some people. I'm sorry, we met so many people. It was great to kind of sit and have dinner with group. Terrace kind of stuck us in different tables so we could, again, he's had it on here. He's talked about his magic, right? Well, the whole point of part of that tour is to get people to kind of have some camaraderie, have some buddies when you're at that con, and have people that you kind of know. And so that was part of dinner for that. So that was Wednesday. And again, that was a lot of fun and something new that we did. And we'll see. We'll see. We probably won't do that again next year, but we'll see. I don't know. We're talking to Terrace to see if we do it this year, or another year, or wait a year again and do something different or something. We'll see. But it was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of good feedback from it. So
yeah, it was cool to see them enjoy the room. You know, Terrace intro, your introduction, kind of who we are and what we do, and you know, meeting, kind of making new friends. And I wish I was better. This whole weekend was a blur of names and faces. But like having two guys down at my end of the table, kind of running them through and just, you know, getting them into the moment and like hyping them up with big dice rolls and like, you know, GMing more than like playing Gene Stealers against them adversarially, like was a lot of fun. And then I made a friend in line waiting for my badge after that. Chris Sly, he owns or works at a game store up in Toronto, big time AOS player. But the lines are alphabetized, and he was right in front of me, and we're like, oh, S&T get their own thing. It's all the Smith like fault. Like, so we both disparaged all the people with the last name of Smith that were probably causing the delays as we saw other lines moving, and the S&T line was like stuck. So when we get there, his last name is, I think, Sly, Slye, and they're waiting and like find all the Smiths, and it was like 16 or 17 Smiths to get back to like his name, and then he got his badge. And then I proceeded to see Chris probably a dozen times throughout the weekend, walking between places or at the bar, like saying what's up, checking in, but made a friend. And then every time we saw each other, he remembered my name, I remembered his name, and we were like, you know, weekend buddies in passing. So that was pretty fun. And Bryce, you got there Wednesday. What was your Wednesday like?
I got there Wednesday. I actually think Wednesday, it's up there for my favorite day of Adepticon because everyone is so pumped and ready to be there. And like seeing people that I see once a year or talk to briefly every now and then on the internet, and then remember how awesome they are in person when I get to hang out with them. So Wednesdays, I love Wednesday. The stress starts to set in a little bit Wednesday night. And it's really interesting. I think I'll continue to say this, but I think Troy and I need to sit down and do a little hobby side chat about the differences between our TOing experience over the weekend, because he'll always talk with so much happiness and joy from the 15 people or whatever it is that he got to enjoy 2.5 hours with. And the overwhelming feeling of the 350 people in the room with us is it's really an interesting perspective to have to think about. But the GW preview was kind enough this weekend or at this Adepticon to split the room with us. So we went long way down the big convention hall this year so that we could set up half of our tables before the GW preview. And then the GW preview asked everyone attending to help tear down the room and move tables. And we actually had about 60 or 70 people hang out and help, whereas last year we had 6. So it was super awesome to have that help. And that made the night go so much smoother. We finished setting up all the AOS tables before midnight. And there was 114 tables this year or something like that. So it was great to have all that help and to see it all come together so quickly.
That's great.
And Josh, you were not yet there on Wednesday.
Yep, not yet there.
This is the joy of broadcast. I can't tell if my mic's muted right now or not. Am I currently unmuted?
No,
or muted?
I can hear you. We can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
Yeah.
All right, good. You know, sometimes you just got to check. I put this stupid thing on that I can usually see a light on the microphone, but Troy said I breathe too much into the microphone, and he said you should breathe less, fatty. So I put this on to try to help, and now I can't see when my mic is muted or unmuted because I don't see the little red or green light on the end.
Yep, that's exactly what I said.
He was telling me to X-ray vision through my fat to my abs earlier.
You guys, you're destroying my reputation. People think I'm kind of a nice guy. They're good. Now they're going to know behind the scenes.
No, it's the Bodfather because of his body shaming of his friends. Yeah.
Truth comes out
Oh,
finally. Episode
stuff.
69. Yep.
Nice.
Nice.
So Thursday, woke up with a slight hangover, as you do at Adepticon, because you go hard at night. And hung out a lot. Thursday was just like a chill sleep-in day. I got to go wander like the AOS Championship day one and like give hugs and harass people and bother them, check in with all my favorite like tournament helpers wearing their yellow shirts and stuff, and kind of laugh that I wasn't helping because I don't do good things for the community. Then I think Thursday night, Bryce, was that when we played for control of Malort Tower with Raph?
Yes, sir.
In a pickup game, 3-player game of Marvel Crisis Protocol at one of the little pickup game tables.
What was our new friend's name? I've been trying so hard to remember.
Jeremy, guy that walked up,
yes.
who was from California, attending the con and was just kind of hanging out with us talking MCP. He hadn't really played, so like we were kind of telling him about how our version of MCP. Raph was all on board with our like narrative hero smash up like style of play. Malort shots were poured.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Storm held down
Juggernaut
Malort
smashed.
Tower for a while. Juggernaut smashed. I played the objectives though.
Yeah, you did. You played pretty try hard that game, sitting back.
It was all the Malort. Then caught up with Danner once he got out of his like 7.5 hour Sergio Calvo painting class.
Wow.
And had some more drinks at the bar and got primed up and ready for Friday. But that was my Thursday. It was just hanging out, talking with people, played the one game, leisurely dinner, lots of drinks like throughout the day, just really chill. Josh, I don't remember seeing you. I think you came Friday.
Correct.
So I'm going to bypass you again, and I'm going to go to Bryce for his Thursday recap.
Yeah, Thursday, the day always starts calm and good, and then everyone gets in the round one of AOS, and as they start finishing, it's go time. And I think last year I earned the title of lead paint judge for AOS, but this year it was knighted to me by Vince after a little spoiler for our Friday activities. But me and 4 others did all the paint judging for AOS. So that's pretty much what my Thursday consisted of, from the first game that ended all the way until I saw you at 9:30, just looking at painted models in that time period. So it's I love doing it though. I shouldn't discourage people from doing it. It's really cool. And this year we did a really cool way. Mike came up with an idea to do a carbon copy of the paint score sheet. So as we did everyone's armies, we left the carbon copy behind so they could see immediately what their paint score was. Last year, I think everyone knows we had a little bit of pushback on our scoring ways and our transparency. So we wanted to be as transparent as possible. So I had a ton of people who asked questions about their paint score and wanted feedback to push themselves to do better. Of course, there's the other way too. Some people were upset with their score and needed to hear the explanation, and most people were really respectful about it. But it was really cool because you get to see those little moments where people, you can tell how passionate they are. And I think sometimes when you think of a big grand tournament like Adepticon, you think it's just a bunch of people there trying to win the golden ticket and get their free trip to the whatever event it is. I don't even remember. But there's so many people there that come just for the hobby or just for the storytelling. And you see that when you get to do their judging of their armies and take the time to look at what was the number, 200 something, 209
206 or 208.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a ton of people, and 100 of them were there just to tell the story that they came to tell, and it was a lot of fun to see that.
You know what I think my favorite story to tell is, and I'll avoid most controversy with this, but I have to get a little bit into the controversy narrative. But my favorite story that people tell is a lack of cohesive basing schemes across their army, then expecting and demanding cohesive basing points. Really, that's probably my favorite thing about the narratives on display at the AOS Championships. That
You
and
left
like
out having 3 different paint schemes across your army. One of which was just 3 colors of blue.
Yeah, when
But,
you count when you compile your army from like other people doing the work and no cohesive scheme, and then expect a painting rubric that is all about throughout like all the army having this thing or that thing. That's really what I look forward to seeing every year at Adepticon from members of Team USA training, whatever, and others. Also, I saw this really cool Nighthaunt army, Bryce, that had, I think, white primer on the bases and then painted some blue and maybe some metals. But like, there's this minimalist style in art that is underappreciated, really, that I think if we just take a little bit more time to introduce it into the hobby and celebrate it, like he could have framed his shoebox army and put it up in the Louvre, like really did an excellent job executing on the bare minimum of a painted army for
that guy had a display board.
Was it a cookie tray?
No, it was like cork.
Oh, good God. Yep. So that was fun. Troy.
Thursday we went at it. So Thursday we spent I don't know what we did, how late we would ever, but Thursday we gave ourselves most of the day to set up the 12-foot by 6-foot big game Space Hulk board. So we spent most of the afternoon doing that. We kind of did it at a slow pace. We didn't want to be under pressure. And even then we still took more time. It's kind of funny, right? You fill as much time as you give yourself to do that. But we did that in the afternoon. And then we had one game on Thursday night, had a few people, and then had our friends Jeremy and Todd who showed up, and we had a couple spots, and so they were able to drop in there, and we got the first game under our belt, got the rust off, and got things figured out. And I think my nephew Ashton, who was also helping us out over the weekend, found his way from La Crosse down to Schaumburg, and he showed up, I think, just before we started or just at the beginning of around 7. So that was Thursday for us. And we finished, I don't know, we finished about 10 or 11. And there'll be a lot of like, we would see you guys in the bar for a while, but we were really trying to pace ourselves because we had a long weekend ahead of us. So
I think what Troy's trying to say is that some of us spent most of the day getting drinks at the bar or from the bar. By the way, the hotel restaurant on Thursday, I forgot this bit, had Thirsty Thursday special. It was like $8 pitchers of their 8 tap beers. So Gabe and I had dinner. That's why it took so long for me to go meet Raph to play Crisis Protocol, because Gabe and I had 7 or 8 pitchers of porter, and then Brian joined us, and the 3 of us had like 3 more pitchers with our dinner. So we had a very long drawn out dinner. Our waitress Carrie was delightful, was super nice to us, and kept bringing us more. And then she's like, the barrel just got tapped out, but here's the partial pitcher, and it was like 2/3 full. And then she's like, I'll get you a fresh one though, but here you go. And moments later came back with like another like full one, and we're like, bonus pitcher, this is great.
Nice.
So I forgot that tidbit. Carrie at the Schaumburg Public House, our waitress, was amazing, and Gabe, myself, had dinner, and then Brian joined us for a few more pitchers. And that's when I then saw Bryce playing Crisis Protocol. So Troy, let me ask a question about. Well, I want to ask Troy, I know you guys are going to do your hobby side chat about TOing and event organizing. Did you have anyone show up with a substandard Space Hulk miniature that they wish to use for themselves?
No, because I supply all the miniatures.
Okay.
So I only have to judge myself about
now
some of them. I would judge some of my miniatures as being substandard. I'm like, oh, I really should spend more effort on some of these guys. But
now, if somebody showed up with their own squad, but they were like subpar, like I'm talking like, less than 3 color minimum, and they didn't really match, and the squad markings weren't accurate, would you tell them like, hey, F off, keep your stuff in the box, you're using my stuff, or would you let them use their subpar minis to play?
I would not say F off. I would find a kind of tactical way to encourage them to use these things that maybe they're the same loadout. Hey, yeah, I know what you want here. Here, look, I have this squad that does exactly the same thing. Plus, maybe they're a little better, and encourage them to go that way.
Why are they better? Why are they better? What are you trying to say?
Because maybe they have one more special weapon. Like I would like go the thing where I would give them like an extra rule to make it like sweeten the pot for them to use my miniature versus theirs.
That's good.
That would be my tactic. So
I was just trying to trick you to see if you were violating the Adepticon model policy for your event. But good job. You were successful. Friday, woke up with another hangover. Not as bad as Thursday, but another hangover. What did I do Friday? Drank some water and then went and sat in a classroom with Caleb Weissenbeck and 15 other people airbrushing terrain for like 3 hours. That was pretty cool. Learned how to do some marbling with dryer sheets. My entire like desire for the class is just to get comfortable with the airbrush so that I can come home and then use mine more, because I just started to get it going a couple years ago, and then like it kind of the compressor shorted out, so I got derailed, and I'm like, I just want to get comfortable, but learn some decent techniques. Like, do I wish the course had been a little bit more like, here's some other stuff, a little more learning? Yes, it was a lot of like Caleb doing something on the camera, you trying to see, and then you painting your own stuff for like 15 or 20 minutes, and not a lot of like feedback. But him, like, he'd tell a story or he'd hang out. And then there are a couple guys that have done obviously like other courses with them, like classroom favorites, right? So like, not to disparage Caleb at all, but like it, he had his couple guys in the classroom that he knew, and like being on the outside, I was like, oh, I wish I could feel like I was part of the in crowd. So I wasn't sure like what I would get out of the class, and I got the comfort with the airbrush and like learned some techniques. Wish it had been a little bit more like educational. And less like hobby hangout at my friends who shows me how to airbrush one or two things, and then
it goes fast though, right?
Yeah.
Was it 4 hours? Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Well,
it
was scheduled for 4, and we went like 3 and some change.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's really not a 4-hour class.
Yeah,
but like it was definitely some cool stuff. He's phenomenal. This is me being negative, and I'm going to just take a moment and make a formal apology to Team Crom as I start to talk about them and our time on Saturday and Sunday. I was really like hyping up the heel turn of hating the idea of a team tournament and how miserable it was going to be. And I think I did such a good job, the drunker I got, of being negative, that I started to offend people and hurt feelings. So I apologize that my heel character that I often portray with negative on everything kind of sentiments spilled over into Adepticon. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all negative. And I'll make an effort to be less hypercritical on the show going forward, and amongst my friends when fun is supposed to be had.
Yep. That's great.
We can clip that and send it to to Gabe and Danner and just Brian.
Find the timestamp when it goes out there, and you can email it to him.
Yeah. But the class was great. Like, it's just when you're spending $60-$70 or something, you get a little bit more of that, like, what else would I want from it?
My favorite one, I've done 2, 3 of the shorter ones, I think, and even when I do those, I've always like, oh, I can see why like he does like the weekend, like, which are I think they're like weekend ones or whatever. I can see where you can just, because it's not like you're pounding through it, right? They're pretty casual. You want to give people time. You don't want to rush, right? Because people are all at different levels on that. But the one that I enjoyed the most, I think that was the one I did at Gen Con, where we worked on the Armiger, the little Titan or little Knight guy, and because I walked away with that was whatever 80% done, and then I had like this homework project, and then I was able to finish it up, and it sit on my shelf, and so I have I have that, and that's the one, because I think one of the other ones I did, we worked on some other. It wasn't a model that I like kept or anything else like that, so it didn't feel like I had something to take away. So that. But every one you kind of learn something, and I always kind of wish they'd be a little longer. But I can also understand they're having a big weekend. They're running many classes with a lot of people. So
yeah, absolutely. Bryce, before I kick it over to your Friday, and Troy, I'm gonna skip ahead to one other thing I forgot from Friday. I got to go on a shopping trip to the Woodfield Mall with Dr. Gabe, Bryce, and Danner, because Dr. Gabe, when he packed for Adepticon, failed to pack any pants. He had his one pair of pants, and by Friday night, he said, I need to get new pants for tomorrow. And also, side note, I've worn a hole in the bottom of my shoes, so I need to get new shoes. So we accompanied.
You should pause really quick and ask everyone to just stop and think. If you were going to buy pants, where would you go?
Yeah.
And just think about that. And go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, do the thought experiment of if you're buying pants, where would you go? So then the four of us walk into Lululemon at the Woodfield Mall, and Gabe rolls over to where they have men's pants.
What?
I was shocked. The ABC khakis, anti-ball crush technology. This is a thing. This is real.
Very real. Very real.
Yeah. And then begins to look for pants, and then he has to go try them on. I expected him to know his size and it to be like how I shop for pants is I'm a this. I go grab a this and I take it and I leave. I don't go try it on. But Gabe evidently is a man of finer taste. So he had to go try it on. Well, the rest of us waited. And I think at one point, Bryce, you and I were just like, we got to get out of the store, and like walked out to lean against the
rail. I felt that way the second the lady asked if we needed help.
Yeah. And then we went to think about where you would buy shoes as, men in your 30s, 40s, 50s, like middle-aged men. Then we walked in the Vans, where the clerk, whose name I believe was Sarah or something close to Sarah, went to help Gabe, who was looking for new shoes. And she said, well, you don't skateboard, so are you looking for more? And he goes, how dare you, like, say that I'm not a skateboarder. And then Danner was looking at shoes. I thought maybe we were walking out of there with 2 pairs of shoes. And at this point, I'm so hungry. I'm like, can we just get out of this goddamn mall? Like, I want to go to Morton's. I want to eat steak. I want to have cocktails. I was, and rightfully so in my mind, I was hangry and just wanted out. So we did not stop at the Build-A-Bear, the Purple Mattress store, or anywhere else, because Gabe is evidently also in the market for a new mattress. So, Dr. Gabe, man, I love him, but that shopping trip,
wild.
It was not what I expected it to be.
It's just wild.
And then we went to Morton's, had our steak dinner, kind of a BoD tradition. Different people throughout the years have attended at different times, but we had 6 of us, Bryce, Eric, myself, Gabe, Brian, and Danner. Jesus.
Danner.
And long, steakhouse meals, right? So appetizers come out, the wine, the drinks, everything. Bryce nearly gets food poisoning, bacon poisoning. Yeah. And then I did get key lime pie before we left, and Bryce got a bread like loaf pudding. It was ridiculous. Great meal. So I'm sorry that was my Friday. Josh and Troy and Bryce, I give my time to you.
Well, I'll just go real quick. I showed up with the family, and we stayed at the Home 2 near the mall. So, Ty, we may have crossed paths as you guys were going to the mall. We were checking into our
Lululemon.
Hotel. The Lululemon, yeah. But yeah, we checked in the Home 2. The kids decided they wanted to swim, and I said, well, I'm going to go see my friends. And so, yeah, then I met up with the Weiss Bros. Running.
Yeah, and then Josh, you'll join my story at the end.
Boom. But yeah, there you go. I'll pass it off to you, Troy.
Unless, Bryce, do you want to jump in before
you got to go now with that.
All right, I got to go now. All right. So Friday, we were full blown, I think, to 11. I don't know when we started. 11 a.m. was our first game. I think Eric jumped in. We had a spot open, and so Eric helped us out as a ringer. It was good to get him to play. Good group on there. Then Friday, after whatever it was, afternoon. I think that were like 4 to 7 or 4 to 8 or something like that around that time. That was again. I don't want to. We had so many good groups, but I shouldn't say it because I don't know this is my favorite. But we had a couple of really good guys that had the two guys that actually I've never before had people reach out to me email me before the thing saying I really want to try and get into your game. What can I do? Kind of thing. And they both Alexandro. This guy, I'll give him kind of the top. This guy brought so much energy. He was just a blast, especially have your third game in on the day. As you're into this, brought so much energy, just brought the whole table up and that. And again, he emailed me after the event, thanking me and things like that. And he's, I don't know where he lives or whatever, but just a great guy there. And another guy, Rob, who's over from England. And he was he actually didn't get in, but he was number 1 on the wait list for that. And I was able to get him. He was able to get in. I'm glad he was able to get in too. Again, brought a lot of energy around that. So it's just a really, really fun table on Friday afternoon, evening, and to kind of finish that off. And then we were gonna maybe do family and friends, but now that I hear the story, now I know why all of a sudden we were looking and are people going to come? Oh no, they're kind of stuck over in a restaurant somewhere. And then luckily Josh showed up and we got to hang out and whatever. And then we're they're never going to make it over here anytime soon tonight. So we're going to pack it in and get ready to rock and roll tomorrow. But it was a good, whatever we did, good 8 hours on Friday of Space Hulk. And again, really good group. And again, not foreshadowing around, it's people like Alexandro and Rob that really kind of feed my the months and weeks of effort that we put in to kind of get everything ready. Just getting that feedback and everything, the energy that they bring to the table and showing the enjoyment we were able to provide them is kind of what really feeds me and getting me do this every year. So,
all right,
Friday. Nice. Friday for me, I may say that it could be it was a monumental day in my hobby journey. It started with an interesting morning of people crying about the tables they were playing on and all the fun stuff that happens. But then it went to the showcase of the top 19 painted armies, and I did final paint judging with Vince. And Vince got caught up in one of his classes, so it was coming down tight on time. So I just did it, and I picked my 1 through 5, and I had my notes and my reasons. And Vince made it with about 10 minutes left, and he's like, "All right, just talk me through it." And he, at the end, said that I agree 100%. You did it perfect, and you got my seal of approval. So that, I think everyone that's ever listened to this show has heard me fanboy over Vince for numerous times and reasons, but I just truly respect him so much, and the amount of knowledge that he has and the time he's put into learning, something that he has no classical training for. He spent the last 10 years trying to become the best painter he could and then sharing that with the community. And I think that's super cool. So it was really a proud moment for me to get that from him. And then Matt Danner and I made this wild decision at about 11. Oh no, time. We forgot one thing that we did together on Friday. We did a demo of a game called Shatterpoint. And in that time, which was awesome, by the way, Shatterpoint, really enjoyed it. Think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
But Danner and I decided we should go buy an MCP model and paint it to enter into the Worthy competition, where we thought the deadline was Saturday morning. So we go. Danner takes my model while I'm doing the paint judging with Vince, gets it primed in Zenithal with a paintbrush and the wet primer. Not the greatest Zenithal we've ever seen, but and then we spent the next 6 hours painting. And Dominic, one of the guys from Indy, sat down with us. We were in the Wapple Den, or I forget exactly what it's called, but the painting section under the stairs at Adepticon. And Dominic sat down and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And we told him what we were doing. And he's like, "Oh, that's a really cool idea. I'll do it with you, but I'm going to check on when the deadline is because, we got to make sure we get him in on time."
Yeah.
Turns out the deadline was in 2 hours from that moment. And Danner and I thought we had until 9 a.m. the next day, but it was 6 p.m. that night.
Right.
So then the panic set in. But we did it. All three of us, even Dominic, in 2 hours painted a model to put into the Worthy competition. And I had probably a week or two before Adepticon started, I put out a tweet saying, like, would you enter into a paint competition knowing that you have no chance of winning it? And for me, every competition I've ever done was always about winning. And, that's just how I grew up playing basketball at the level I did. So it's always been a weird thing for me to do something when I know there's genuinely no chance that I can win it.
Holy havoc.
Yep. So I was kind of intimidated to do it. I don't know if intimidated is really the right word, but fearful or shameful.
Some apprehension, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did it, and it was like this huge weight lifted off my shoulder because the model, it looked kind of cool, but it wasn't very well done, but it was in the case and I got feedback on it. And I just have all this ambition now to actually paint a model and put the time into it, and knowing it doesn't really matter, but I'll be able to grow from it and continue to push myself. And maybe one day saying I can't win it won't be a thing. And it's sounds silly, but it's the step I needed, that 9 hours that Danner and I spent together painting in a panic, but it's what I needed to do to find the courage to do something that I should take more time and effort. But so it was maybe my most enjoyable moment ever at Adepticon was that time at the painting table with Danner, because it was just, I love Matt. You guys obviously know him way better than I do, but to just sit and hang out with him and talk with him for a while and do something we both enjoyed doing was a lot of fun.
Yep. That's awesome. And I don't know, Bryce, I mean, hopefully it was a good balance, because there's a lot of stress and whatever with all the other TO stuff you were doing, and it sounds like that was a really nice kind of complete balance and let you kind of get your bearings back around for the rest of Adepticon as kind of a nice maybe midway break and stress relief.
Yeah, and I think part of it too was like you put so much into the TOing, right? And last year I didn't do anything for myself. I just TO'd 4 straight days, and I flew to Canada from Adepticon, so I left and went right to work. But on Friday, I finished the paint judging, and I told Brendan I didn't want to do as much helping this year with the TOing stuff because I don't know anything about the rules and whatever. But to just take that time for just me and do something at an event that I love going to, that I love doing, instead of just volunteering, I think that made it that much more enjoyable and that much more special to have just that time where I got to ignore everyone. And I think I even ignored you at some point that day when we were just sitting there painting. And it was,
yeah, I mean, Troy big timed us later. So like,
yeah, that's a preview for tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just karma working itself out.
Yeah.
Two quick notes on your display piece and Danner's display piece. Since feedback is a gift. One, the plinth selection, grade A, really helped, bring the models together. The blue tack to mount them on the plinth, you might want to think about, a different way of doing that next year. And then painting your model's eyes, I've heard is a very important, part of display competition. Highly recommend that any models you enter, you paint the eyes, but sometimes that gets overlooked by the judges entirely. So, for what it's worth, paint your eyes. We'll have to put up pictures of those
Especially on
two
Captain
models.
America.
Yeah, especially on Captain America. Yeah,
I got to cheat on mine. I just had to put a white dot and some glaze. So, yeah, poor Danner. He had to take a phone call from his wife mid panic painting because of some home renovation problems. So he lost an hour of crunch time, and then he came back to realize he only had about 45 minutes left, and that was when contrast paints were being grabbed off the shelf. And at one point, I was painting his base while he was painting his shield, and there was a lot of teamwork at the end.
Yeah, he had a double panic moment. Yeah.
Well, you guys are doing that, and Danner came into the room for his phone call. I was trying to frantically get the bases that Gabe printed for my models super glued on, and was absolutely having no luck. And then Dr. Gabe introduced me to Zip Kick or whatever. And the problem was gone. And I was like, you are a wizard right now. And he's like, actually, I'm a doctor. But my models got based while you guys were finishing up your displays. So Saturday? I think Saturday. Woke up slightly hungover and early for the team tournament. Texted Gabe and Brian to make sure that they were good and properly, headed in the right direction. And Danner and I got ready. I took my Playin and Slayin Yeti cup that Stu had made for us, and I filled it with some ice. Then I filled it aggressively with Tito's, and then some squirts of Mio, and then a Celsius energy drink. And that is all I had to start the day on Saturday until I got a donut from Brian. When Team Crom hit the tournament floor, we got a pairing. We thought we were playing somewhere. Then we had to move. Yeah, I mean, mistakes happen. At the time, people were very unhappy. And we're eating donuts and like, whatever, we'll move wherever we need to go. And then I was like, oh, are we sure this is where we're moving to? Because I don't want to move 3 times. So we confirmed and then moved to our new table, where we ended up playing against like a well thought out strategic mix of armies that we had no chance of doing anything against. But a lovely group of gentlemen from Montreal, so French Canadians. One of them was a little hard to understand, but another spoke really, really clear English, and we had some laughter. And then Brian speaks a little bit of French, evidently. So like, it was weird, but AOS. We started with a loss on both of our tables. I mean, me saying we weren't going to win a game might have been a little heavy-handed, but looked pretty accurate to start. Round 2, we match up against these guys wearing like Hawaiian shirts and like shell like necklaces and elf ears, and they were all Deepkin players, and they gave us a bag of like Swedish Fish and Friends candy. Danner and I got to play together for game 2, and we decided that we were going to eat one anytime we earned blood tithe points from his corn stuff. So got just annihilated by Deepkin. The Leviathan turtle took out one of Brian's giants in like a turn, 38 wounds or damage, like off the jump. So we lost that. It's cool. Saw their display. They did kind of like a beach assault. They ended up in the showcase out in the hall. They had a lot of theme. They had like a shark costume, and we got necklaces. They were a friendly group of guys. Had a lot of fun. Did not fare so well against them. 0-2 kind of like, wow, this is not fun. Round 3, see the pairings come out, and I'm like, thank God, because I knew it was guaranteed to be just a great time, because we're against Domus, Tom McClure, Travis Giffen, and Vint, a guy from Madison. Travis really wanted to play me, so like Dr. Gabe and I played against Travis and Vint, and Matt and Brian played against Tom and Domus, and Danner said it's like his favorite game of AOS ever. Like, it was just so friendly and so much fun. I feel like they won their game, we lost our game, and we had a draw, exactly 27 points on each side, almost as if we were trying to play each other round 4, which didn't work. But it was a perfect draw on our table, just how it shook out. Which, if we had played round 4, we would have tried the likely draw again, so we could play in round 5. But absolutely awesome game against them. Then we did dinner, like Indian restaurant, food, shenanigans with kind of Tony and Zach and the like, what I think of as like the Chicago crew. After the fact, listening to Tony break down the Fast and the Furious series in like 3-minute reviews. Zach picking up a bottle of cheap whiskey for a guy at the Indian restaurant that called him after he made the reservations. Like, Saturday night got weird, and then we hung out at the bar for a long time. But that was my Saturday. 0-3. One really fun, good game, one average game and decent opponents, and one just kind of like, I'm just pushing models around and putting them in a dead pile, and trying to understand what the guy that is playing a shooting Stormcast army is saying to me. Is he rolls like 15 mortal wounds, and I just move a unit of mine off the table. So those were my 3 games. I don't remember names from any of the other 2 teams, and I usually am better about taking notes, but Saturday was rinse and repeat and refill the Playin and Slayin mug and drink the liter bottle of Tito's throughout the day with like 3 Celsius, and then I switched with Guinness beers between, and Bryce had a beer backpack that a couple beers came out of. So Saturday was that. It was just a lot of drinking.
Well, I can follow Ty because we were in the same place all day long. He kind of alluded to how the morning started. Some may remember last year that the Adepticon AOS TOs took a lot of heat for not using a certain app that then we decided to use this year, and the app may have had a little hiccup, which caused a bit of shuffling of tables. And I think you get to see the greatest side of human nature when a bunch of lovely human beings get put at a wrong table for a game with war dolls, and then they're asked to move, and then they start yelling in your face about how you could fuck something so easy up, and then it just gets out of control. So that's how the morning started, and then we had to repair one more time because the guy who made the app just went ahead and did something without confirming with us. And so yeah, that happened. And then after that all got sorted out, I met maybe the greatest human being I've ever met in my entire life, and the closest I've been in my 30s to actually punching a human being in the face, when a guy playing in the top 8 came up to me with his phone and said, "Do you have a rules pack from yesterday?" To which I said, "No, I'm not the TO from yesterday. I'm the TO for teams. But you could send an email with any concerns you have about that, because the TO is enjoying his personal time playing in the event today. I'm not going to go bother." Gets upset, pulls up a pack on his phone, because obviously he had it the whole time. He just needed my confirmation, and proceeds to hold it about 2 inches from my face, pointing at it, telling me to show him in the pack where it says how you win the game. And I say, I hear you. Please back away. Go on. And this continues until finally my hands are about ready to go. And Carson saved the weekend probably because he stepped in and pushed the guy away and said, "Just go play in your game and you can deal with this later." But that was the moment where I was like, yeah, maybe I am retired as a TO. And then we went on and the teams started happening and people started having fun again. But yeah, there was a lot of quality wargamer showing up on the morning on Saturday, which nearly tarnished the whole thing. But we recovered. I got to deliver some beers to Ty and the guys playing, and Saturday got a little better until Troy big timed us after he wrapped up his day, and he can go on and tell you why he did that.
So Saturday, we're gonna go Space Hulk Saturday. This was the big Saturday. We did start out the morning by you guys. We swung by and just checked in on Team Crom and made sure they were how they were doing, and then we slowly saw all the chaos unfolding that Bryce talked about. And we're like, let's get out of here and let this all and go play some Space Hulk. So we rolled up to Space Hulk on Saturday morning, and I think, Josh, this is the game you jumped in. I think Saturday morning I was trying to it's all a blur as I piece things together.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was again, it was a lot of fun over the weekend. Again, where you played, Eric played, Jeremy. We had again a lot of friends playing along with other people. We had a group of returning people, Jose and Eduardo and Alex, or another Alexandro. In there, I think it's a father, son, and a nephew that they come from Geek Nation tours. This is at least their second time that they played with us again. So fun with that. I think I beat up Eduardo and on that game, but he's a good guy, and I'll apologize. But I think he still had fun through that. But that was a fun, good game on Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, another really good group. We had again, not to name drop people, but Greg Dan showed up on just kind of, I didn't even notice until he sat down at the table. I'm like, holy, I think I know that name. So he does Imperial Truth and over from England. So it's good to have him in there. Had another guy who kind of walked up, Cyrus, who's kind of in the army right now. Him and some buddies, they do a lot of board gaming in the military and stuff. So he had a lot of energy, and he's like, so we talked a lot about, again, because he wants to kind of run some games too. And so we ended up chatting a lot as we were playing about stuff they do. Again, that's some of the nice feedback, nice energy that you get when you can kind of share, hey, here's why we do things. Here's how, I was able to kind of do a little bit behind the scenes about how we kind of set the game up. How do we do some things there so you can take some stuff away. So it's good. Again, good to him. Him and a couple buddies were that. He ended the only one that got in, and his buddies kind of helped him and watched. And then I apologize. I don't remember. And I think somebody else who's in the Goonhammer world, one of the guys was also there. They're playing in that Saturday evening game. So that was kind of our last official of the 5 big games that we ran. That was a lot of fun. Then we capped it all off Saturday night. We had a very kind of the friends version of another friends version with that, where we had a bunch of the California crew, Carl Tuttle, his wife Shell, Josh, his wife Aaliyah, John, their friend there, Sky Herrick, who I met last year, who runs Herrick Hobbies out in California. They brought us a lot of pizza. That was the deal. If you come and feed us, then we'll play some kind of late night Space Hulk. So they all kind of ran through. Real, again, fun group. We had some of them have played before, and again, Carl's played on and off for many years. It was fun because Shell, they're actually again thinking about trying to do something like that, maybe out at what's the KublaCon out in California, possibly they're talking about. So Shell actually ran. She had come actually Thursday. She was there. They had stopped by, and she actually kind of helped John run some of the Gene Sealer stuff. And again, she actually her and Ashton actually ran the other side. John kind of stepped back, and I ran one side, and which was terrible for that side because Shell, we found out, is kind of a monster, and we all know, and Ashton is also a monster. So that side of the board did not do. And we asked them, we're like, as we do, we're like, hey, where do you want? You want what level of play do you want out of us? Because we're going to do it. So just a really nice, again, and then they also helped us kind of break everything down. It's always kind of amazing when we have a big group, how we can go from everything kind of set up to literally within 20-25 minutes, everything's kind of packed up and in things. So, and then that way, I think we wrapped up by about 11. So that was about 13 hours or 14 hours of my of my day as I walked by the bar, and supposedly people might have called my name and I never even
California
noticed.
Troy goes
California
wild.
Troy.
Yep. Now at least we
Yep.
understand now. Big time California Troy.
Yep. Yep.
I think, yeah,
He's got the
nothing
frosted
to do-
tips and everything.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the fact that that was
Whole
about 14
family, whole
hours
wife's
straight.
family looks, waves. Yeah.
In our
Everyone but Troy.
if you want to add it up, in our 30 plus hours of Space Hulk, that we might have been just a hair fried at that point. But we came back to the bar and we found you guys, and then we found out that we completely missed you the first time. But that was kind of the end of our Space Hulk adventures. And I think we ended up, well, our day was kind of shifted. I think we actually stayed at the bar later than you guys a little bit, as we were just kind of unwinding. And you guys, bunch of people left us a lot of beer. That's I think some of it actually made it home with me. So I don't know.
Yeah, Tony and
I think
Brian,
Tony. Yeah,
and there's a beer that was purchased around the Indian restaurant. Yep. Coop, what did you do Saturday?
I kind of just floated. So I was hanging out at the AOS teams, said hi to you guys, said hi to Bryce, met up with the Weiss brothers, kind of was just floating around there. And then, yeah, I think I followed you guys up to Space Hulk, and I was just going to hang out. I wasn't planning on playing. But yeah, you had a spot open and nobody was there to take it. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll play. I haven't played in a couple years or something. So, yeah, I played some Space Hulk. That was fun. Get to play with my Templar, which every time I look at, I go, I need to fix these. They're not great because yeah. Anyway, yeah, I wandered the hall a little bit, and then yeah, I kind of checked out the teams, and then yeah, I would pop up back by Troy every once in a while and just kind of see how you guys were doing. But yeah, it was kind of just like floating around and checking out and see what. It was kind of like your guys' Thursday was my Saturday. Just kind of wandering around and checking things out. So, and then yeah, meeting up with everybody afterwards for drinks and stuff. When you guys all came back from the Indian restaurant. So good times.
Excellent. Troy, one follow-up question. What episode did we book Carl for a 3.5 hour deep dive into Carl Tuttle, Playin and Slayin presents the independent characters?
What are you doing? Don't give any spoilers. So we're good.
Yeah?
Coming soon. Yeah.
Got it booked? All right.
Yep.
Coming soon.
All right. California Troy presents Playin and Slayin production of the independent characters. All right.
We'll see. And then I guess the only thing Saturday, and maybe we're going to touch on that too, is I know somewhere, and I don't know how we did it, between everything else, is I did run through and see some of the armies on parade, and some of the displays were all up there Saturday night. That's kind of just always thing that we do that. And then I think at some point, well, I ran through Golden Demon a couple of times, and I think on Saturday I feel like I followed Danner and Bryce through one time too. I don't know what time of the night it was, but it was pretty late. But we got to run through on the Golden Demon. So yeah.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, Bryce and I ran through there earlier, I don't know, 10 o'clock or something.
Saturday night, one other note, which is relevant for my Sunday. Dr. Gabe, Danner, and myself were at one end of the party of like 12 at the Indian restaurant, and Brian was at the other end. And we were talking about how game 3 was so fun, and maybe that's just the one we end on because the other two games were relatively abysmal, and we're kind of tired and burned out, and like, well, let's see what Brian thinks. If he's all about it, if he's gung-ho, we'll know. But maybe he'll agree with us. Maybe he'll agree that it's best to just kind of have a chill Sunday, drop from the tournament, not worry about it, sleep in, get Wildberry. We go, hey Brian, what are you thinking about tomorrow? And he's like, let's go, I can't wait. Blah, blah, blah. Like he was hyped, and we're like, shit. Sunday morning rolls around, and you're a little groggy, you're a little tired, your feet are sore. You're like, all right, well, let's get down there. Let's make it happen. We roll up to our round 4 matchup, and we're like, oh boy, energy at this table, not great. What are we up against? And it just went downhill from there. Brian and Danner were paired together, and Gabe and I were paired together. Their table was a lot of like, my model is a superhero and can do everything, and it should have done that last phase. Can I go back and do it? That type of play happening against them. Whereas Gabe and I were against teammates that one of them literally started arguing about what his teammate was doing and how they were going to lose the game. And we're both 0-3. It's round 4 of a team tournament. We're at like second table from the bottom. There is zero expectation that you are a good Warhammer player like at this table. And at one point, Gabe is so frustrated he walks away. And then he did this thing where he had like 30 dice to roll, and he just started rolling 2 or 3 at a time. And then he'd go and pick his results, and the guy's like, you can roll all of them at once. And Gabe's like, no. I want to make sure I'm just rolling what I need to roll. And like slow rolls all the dice. I'm like, Gabe's in a really good headspace right now. Like Gabe is so happy. And I'm joking with the one guy and, just trying to keep it from devolving. And Gabe just ended up, I piloted his remaining units for like a turn because I think he had just hit his threshold of this fuckery needs to stop. And Brian and Dan are at their limit of like, this is ridiculous. Can we just fold up and call it? So see Mike after round 4, I'm like, dude, if we get anything close to it, like, I can't do this. He's like, guys, I don't have a ringer. This would really be problematic if it's uneven. And I'm like, well, if anyone else drops, let me know, because we do not want to keep playing. Like, we just had the worst game of our 4 games. Nobody else drops. Round 5, we sit down. I look across the table. I see a couple younger guys, one kind of guy closer to my age, another guy. I'm like, I was the first one of my 4 there. Everyone else was at lunch, and I sat down and I said, all right, here's the deal, guys. Just had the worst game of the tournament. Don't really want to play. I need you all to commit to having the best time you're ever going to have playing Age of Sigmar. Like, I need you to sign a fun contract before my teams arrive, before we do pairings, that we're going to have the best goddamn game of Age of Sigmar that you've ever had. And they're like, oh, that sounds awesome. Do you want a beer? And I was like, all right, vibe check passed. Let's go. Guys roll up. We pair up. We start playing. They're sharing beers, having energy drinks, having fun, like laughing. Great time, great game. But I pin it back to like, I forced them into it. I said, we're not here to win. We're on the bottom tables. You're not here to win. Let's just hang out. And they were local, 4 kind of local Chicago guys. One of them, it was like his first army he'd ever painted. One of them, for some reason, was like, dude, your army is awesome. Like, your painting's incredible. I haven't seen an army look that good, like cohesively on 10. I was like, well, hold on. It's not that good, but thank you. And they were asking me for like painting advice and tips, like what they could do different. And it was just kind of like, well, I've probably been doing this longer than they have. Like, I'll share what I know, so that was a cool moment. Hung out with them for most of like after 2, once we packed up and like we're waiting around for awards and stuff. We didn't win any awards. Evidently we weren't spirited enough. We weren't good enough painters. We didn't earn any battle points. We didn't get a charity vote for best t-shirts. And Brian and I stuck around. Danner had to leave for the airport. Gabe hit the road early. Then I gave Brian a ride home and had a chat with him, just kind of before I began my journey back after saying goodbye. But that was Sunday. Had a really good lobby burrito bowl though for lunch.
Mm-hmm. Did we have lunch, Ty? I feel it's all a blur,
Yeah,
but
we
I
sat
felt
with
like
you.
we actually
We
had
came
lunch
and joined
together.
you guys. You were like on the second half of your lunch, and we were just starting, and then finished up as Ashton went to get a ride, and then, yep. So it was Sunday. You know, 1 for 2 isn't bad. Round 4 goes down though is like my second worst game of Age of Sigmar ever. Both of those have happened at Adepticon. So to Bryce's point about 206 people and man babies and war dollies, and like, that's the thing about the big tournament that always bugs me is there's such a high percentage chance of getting just a total bummer of a game because the field of play is a less known quantity. But round 5 made up for it. Kevin and other dude, I can't think of his name now, were super chill, super fun. I'm glad we got that game, but round 4 was like, I've never been closer to packing my stuff up and just walking away from a table. Like it was bad.
But Ty, I like that round 5, that open. I like, how do we bottle that? Like that opening speech. Like I think everybody should walk up and like that should be like the contract. Like, hey, let's have the funnest game of 40K or Age of Sigmar that we can.
Yeah, like,
right? Isn't that feels like what we? That's our goal, right? Isn't
I sat down across from 3 of their 4 with the rest of my team not there yet, and I just said, listen, this is how it has to be. I said, we're fine if you guys want max points and you want to just like take the win and chill until awards. If you want that game, you know, we're not in a headspace to give you that game of play. So we're gonna have the most fun we possibly can, and it worked out. They bought in, we bought in, and yeah. I'll do that every game I have against a stranger from here on out, I think.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's something there. Like that might be the
if I know the person, they know that's the vibe I'm bringing.
Yeah.
Like, but a stranger, if I haven't met the person yet, I honestly I think that's how I'm likely to start 99% of games like going forward. So yeah, and then I saw the Koopman family mid-game Sunday as well. You guys were kind of making your exit. Did you do anything else cool, or just kind of walk around with the fam, Josh?
Yeah, we kind of just walked through, did the hall quick, stopped to talk to Bryce. We saw the Weiss brothers moving stuff out to their cars as we were coming in, which was kind of funny.
Oh, did they say hi to you, or did they ignore you?
No, they totally big timed us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
some family held the door for us. Yeah, some family held the door open for us. I have no idea who it was. Yeah.
We held the door for them, but they big timed us. It was like,
and we pushed them out of the way as we ran through it there.
John said hi. No, I take it away. John waved, but but yeah, no, stopped to talk to Bryce for a little bit, and talk to Team Crom, and I don't know which game that was. That was that the awful game.
Yeah, it was round 4.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, good time to the Koopmans to show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was fun. My children on the way home were like, there's a lot of nerds like you, and I'm like, yeah, there are. So yeah, they were kind of impressed with the nerdery.
What was your Sunday like, Troy?
It was very chill. I think I didn't have any events, because actually I didn't do anything besides Space Hulk. Ben played a demo of Onslaught, which is the D&D kind of mini
WizKids minis.
Yeah. WizKid. It feels like, and I don't know, Ben kind of said, and I shouldn't like this. Here's a really terrible secondhand review or whatever. He's like, it feels like, some version of like a Hero Quest for D&D or something like that around that. He said it was fun with that. But that was about it. And we did, just kind of hung out in the vendor hall because I really hadn't spent a whole lot of time there. I guess we hit it a little bit on Thursday, but just kind of hung out and watched that, and grabbed some lunch, and then people started to peel off, and that was about it. And I do have to call out. I mean, you hear me talk about my brothers, John, Ben, Ashton came down. I could not do this without them. They are willing to give up their weekends too. And I don't know, give up. Like we all enjoy what we're doing and meeting with people, but I just have to use this time to again thank them and thank Ashton for traveling all the way down. It's nice to I always think about he's been with us for the whole time of BoD, basically, from his as he was 10 years old or so, and when he started this, and now being in college. So again, I can't thank those guys enough for because I could not do it without them. And every year they're there and putting all the time, and it's also a great time for us to hang out together. So,
Bryce, how was your Sunday?
So Sunday, I think most people, when they think of me, think of a relatively positive person. So to hear me talk about Saturday was probably like, whoa. But Sunday brought it back. Sunday, I said I'm going in the vendor hall because I need to buy 20 bottles from Monument Hobbies because I learned that they just sell empty bottles with their glass shakers in them. So I went in there and bought that and a couple other things. And then as I was walking out, I stumbled upon the Scale 75 booth that I said I wasn't going to go to because, I have all their paint already. But then I remembered I really wanted to back this Kickstarter a while ago with their heavy body acrylics. And I was looking and they had some boxes and I picked 2 and I was going to buy them. And the guy was like, have you tried those paints? And I said, no, I've missed the Kickstarter. Really wanted to try them, but didn't get around to it. And he's like, just so you know, if you want to try it, you can buy the whole collection for what it would cost you to buy 3 of those boxes. And they'll give you this book for free. And they'll give you 30% off these display models. And I was like, all right, you got me, bud. So I walked out with the entire collection of their heavy body acrylics, 2 busts, and this really cool, I think it's like a demonic bust painting book. About 100 pages and how to paint. So that happened. And then I went back into the AOS hall and finished off the teams. And I should give a shout out to everyone that participated in the teams this year. When you look at this year compared to last, it was really awesome to see the growth. And even the 40K guys who I think put a lot of pride in their team's event were very impressed by ours and said that the overall growth that we had this year kind of rivals where they're at right now. So I'm hoping that next year that growth continues. And I mean, we had 6 tables, 6 8-foot by 2-foot tables set up, and we didn't have enough room for everyone to display their armies. Whereas last year we only had like 8 armies to display. So it was really cool and really awesome to see the growth. And then the really feel good moment for me was at the end of the day. We go through awards and everything, and everybody comes up and thanks you and says goodbye and all that. But this random guy that I'd never met before, his name was James. I'd say he's probably 55, 60 years old, came up to me and said it was his first Adepticon, and he has seen it for years, and he had such a wonderful time, and he just wanted to thank me, Mike, and Brendan for everything we did. And I was like, oh, man. There are good people out there. And then started thinking more and more about how many people actually are awesome that are there, and letting the 15 or 20 people that were who they were ruin the entire event for me wasn't worth it. And there's, 180 Jameses out there that appreciate everything we put in to make it happen and just had a great time. And that's really what it is at the end of the day, right? There's always the loud minority that ruins it for the majority or something like that. And just got to put those bad feelings for those people beside and know that they're probably happy in their basement somewhere.
Team Crom supports Bryce. Team Crom also evidently was tied for best sports and lost.
You were, yeah.
So
3-way tie. And I think I was trying to remember if it was 4 votes or 3 votes, but it's one of the 2.
I'm going to guess 4.
I think it was
4.
3.
It was probably 3, but I like to think that the French Canadians liked us a lot.
We got into the debate.
The CLs, Domus, and round 5 were the 3 like guaranteed. Round 4, no fucking way. Like their favorite game must have been like against themselves before they came to Adepticon. Yeah. It should have been a roll off, Bryce, so that I could once again put a 1 down.
A roll off. Yeah. Yeah. Then we all went home.
We did. I know we talked a lot about purchases, and I'd like to end the Adepticon wrap up on that touching note about James and that anecdote. But I'm going to force us to talk about any other acquisitions that we left out. Like I bought the full Pro Acryl line, literally $300 at Monument Hobbies, the base set, 4 expansion sets. Just like, let's go. Love this stuff. And that was it. And I got a free mini from the Frosthaven guy because they're doing a new miniature line and an RPG this summer. So I got a mystery box from him. And then demoed Shatterpoint, which was an industry insider connection. So the director of PR or something at Atomic Mass used to work at Ultra Pro. Danner used to do a ton of licensing with Ultra Pro when he was a brand manager for Magic. So they connected. It got introduced there. That's how we met Dallas Kemp. And then she said, show up right away in the morning. I'll give you, the 10:30 slot for the demo. We're like, that's perfect. So Raph and Bryce and Danner and I got the demo Shatterpoint Friday morning, thanks to Liz and the connection that we had through Danner. That game is going to be phenomenal. Like I don't think I piled on when Bryce mentioned it, but like it has elements from MCP that are comfortable and familiar. It has a really cool way of tracking damage, and like the round mechanics have this like struggle that's going on as you're trying to like gain and lose morale. Really cool minis. I just think it's going to be a really cinematic, fun game. Not that I need another skirmish game or game for that matter, but like lightsabers and that era like of Star Wars, Ahsoka, will be really fun. And Ewoks. They showed Ewoks. Any other cool things you saw though, or purchase, guys? That was kind of the one thing I just wanted to touch back on.
The only thing I'm going to throw up is the Dirty Down, which is the Rust stuff. They have the new, it's new to US, I guess, is their Dirty Down spray. So I don't know if I'll ever use it. Maybe. Again, trying to figure out how do you age a Space Hulk. That might. So I grabbed some of that. So that's my only like interesting purchase.
My purchase wasn't yeah, I'll go, Josh. My purchase wasn't a purchase. It was getting a bunch of people who got MCP tanks to give them to me. So I walked away with 4 MCP tanks and actual awesome connection with Dallas, the lead creative director for MCP. So TJ, one of the shop owners from down in Indy, who I've gotten to know through Mike, I was telling him about my idea, and he somehow had a connection to the MCP guys too. And he introduced me to Dallas, and I got to tell Dallas about the board that Josh and I have been kind of talking about. And we want to do a Hydra tank facility or production facility. And I've been trying to find a more affordable way to get Hydra foot models, because you can only get 3 of them in a box with Red Skull, and it would be $50 a box. So I was trying to find a more affordable way to do that. So I started talking about that, and TJ was like, well, I'll just introduce you to Dallas and you pitch your idea. And I was telling him about it, and I was telling him about the game that Troy runs and how, one day I would like to do something like that with this custom scenario with this table. And he was super into it. And I sent him all my notes and my drawings in an email, and he loves it. And he said, as soon as we start the project and he can see that we're actually working on it, that we got all the Hydra troop models that we need, and hopefully can be part of their event at Adepticon in the future. So
sweet.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, it's go time. Get cracking. Let's go.
There are 2 hydro tanks over there. I think one's promised to you, Bryce. One was promised to Josh, unless he's given that one to you too. But I don't know. He might keep it to himself. He's kind of that way.
Yeah, so I went to buy some pro acrylic paints as well, but they said this guy named Ty came through and bought all our paint, so you can go online and purchase it there. So that's what I did. I think I might have talked about that already, getting some pro acrylic paints. Yep, that's the one. Ty is showing all his boxes.
All his boxes, all of them. Well, he did, yeah, because they didn't have any more paint. Then they ran out. Yeah,
it's really good radio. Here's the next one.
Or you can hear it. You can hear kind of the.
We do a YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. You know the drill.
Some play by play.
Different colors.
Yep.
It's amazing that was $300 because I got 24. Granted, they're heavy body, but I got 24 heavy body acrylics, and it was more than what you paid for. What is that? 62 paints or something like that right now?
It's 4 little boxes and 1 big box. Yeah, you can see it's all still in box though. I need to figure out a storage thing. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You can 3D print a paint tray.
Well, I'd need room for a paint tray.
Oh, that's true.
There's the tank.
Lots of tanks in the world these days.
All right, so that is Adepticon. Any other thoughts other than hope to see you there next year? There were certainly people that were missed, that didn't make it. Hopefully they get back. I know we'll all be back. I'm putting my paint away as I talk. Hopefully that's not rude to our viewers. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for being incredible friends and tolerating my negativity on Thursday night. And Bryce, thank you for the backpack beers. They made rounds 2, 3, 1, 2, and 4 more tolerable because beer makes everything better.
Anytime.
So I know we're running long. We'll try to get this show home in time for curfew, so we don't need to call Josh's landline to see where he's at, and wrap this up with some upcoming events, news, noteworthy things. Nexus still a thing, Troy? Looks like you are maybe planning on attending. I don't know when. I don't know.
I think so. I should. I think so. I don't have any real details, but usually early June there's Nexus in Brookfield, but I have not confirmed any of that lately.
All right.
But
good sign we're in April, and we don't know about early June. Yeah. Hopefully Nexus is still breathing.
Yep.
Origins. You going to Columbus this year, Troy?
No.
Yeah, me either. Baseball season, otherwise it would be a fun trip. I think Paul and Jen are going with Anvil 8, possibly this year, doing some games, running some stuff. NashCon, Bryce decided to say, hey, why aren't we doing this? Let's do this. And Tom, the day before, had also said, hey, I want to go to NashCon with you and Bryce. And I was like, I don't know that I'm going. August is crazy busy. I've got baseball and I've got a trip to Seattle and a trip up north. And then Bryce sent that. I'm like, hey, Tom, Bryce said we're in. Let's do it. And then I sent David Griffin a note saying, hey, can you get us on the wait list? And now we're doing NashCon. So that is August 20th-ish, 20th, 21st, Nashville, Tennessee.
18th, 19th, 20th. I think.
Yeah. Midwest Meltdown, end of July. I think July 22nd, Bryce, when you're on your honeymoon. But Domus said that he's bringing it back. I don't know if it's publicly been posted anywhere, but evidently Meltdown is returning. Big AOS tournament down in South Central Illinois.
Not big anymore though.
What's that?
I think he said max of 45 or 50. I think.
Oh, small. Okay.
He wants to take it back.
Yeah. That would be actually preferable. Very cool. Then Gen Con. Anyone going to Gen Con? I'm taking this
Possibly.
year off. Oh, you're thinking about doing the full?
No. If we go, it's just going to be a fly-in, or not even a fly-in. It would be a drive-in it'd be like a weekend visit, not stay downtown. It would just be drop in.
Yeah.
Probably do that. So I don't know. Ben and I are still up in the air a little bit. Or John might go. I don't know. If anybody wants to go with me overnight, we might go. Or I might just take Sarah. I might just say, Sarah, let's just go for a weekend and hang out for a day, and then go swimming at the hotel. That'll be
Absolutely. So we're heading into late spring, summer convention season. We'll be at a few. We'll do some tournaments. We'll do some stuff. Hear some recaps. Maybe get some of the folks from the AOS world on, especially as we start work on the Charity Army, Goonhammer Media Network. We've got some plans to hopefully collaborate and do some cross pollination with some other content creators there. But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed hearing a little bit about Adepticon. If you saw us there, thanks for saying hi. I know there were a few people that either got introduced to the podcast or knew the podcast that said hello. And it blows my mind that we have like people that we don't know that listen to the show. But I'm glad that we're starting to get to know more of them. And thank you everyone for listening. That, it's just it makes it extra sweet when people are listening to what you're putting out there. So find us everywhere that you can find your podcast. YouTube, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Twitter at Playin Slayin Show.
Ty, I do have breaking news.
Breaking news.
Sad news. I believe Nexus is dead. We have to pour one out for Nexus Game Fair. So, yep. So we'll see.
We won't be going in early June to Nexus.
No, but we may have to have a memorial episode where we recount some of the classic stories that happened at Nexus Game Fair over time.
Or in June of 2024, I need to plan a board game convention.
Yep.
BoDCon, and set it somewhere near the Ozarks in Missouri for reasons, and have 20 of my closest friends and comrades and listeners attend. Playin and Slayin presents BoDCon. Thanks,
Sounds
Nexus.
good to me.
Yep. Now we're clear. Yeah, June's clear now. Yeah.
Thanks, Nexus. Good deal. 2024 June. Let's go. Whew. That's it. I think I got through the news and announcements. Emails, Josh's landline, 555-555-COOP. Reach out to him, hit him up, preferably before 9 p.m. Central, and then intern@basementofdeath.com if you want to talk to Bryce about any feedback surrounding the AOS team tournaments or your paint scores during the AOS championships. Keep the dice rolling, the drinks on ice, and no matter what, keep playing and slaying. Late spring, early summer.
So I was Josh has got to go to work. It's the bat phone.
You have a landline?
Shut up.
A landline.
Right, Bryce? Give him hell, Bryce.
You gotta plug your dial-up in some nights, or what?
I hate it so much, Bryce. I don't think you heard me.
Yeah, but
See what I can
calls
say.
there that you have to answer, or what?
Yeah.
Just in case the president wants to contact you and your cell phone tower's down. Wow.
It makes me so angry, Bryce, and the fact that you're bringing it up is making my night. You're ruining it. You're ruining.
Technically, I didn't bring it up. It rang.
Yeah,
It rang.
It rang.
All the way
Let's be
back
clear.
to second grade. I think the last time I had a landline phone, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Is that like? Did Josh set his cell phone ringtone to match a landline phone, just to feel nostalgic?"
I'm gonna need a minute.